Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It is 7:05 on February 8th. Welcome to our Conservation Commission meeting. My apologies for the delay in starting. To get us kicked off, this Conservation Commission meeting is available to be attended in person and via the Zoom platform in an effort to ensure citizen engagement and comply with open meeting law regulations. Citizens will be able to dial into the meeting using the provided phone number on the agenda, or citizens can participate by copying the link on the agenda into their browser or clicking the hyperlink in the agenda. You can also call on your phone at 292-205-6099, and the meeting number is 825-0043-1528. If you're having trouble accessing through the link, please call on your phone and use *6 to toggle between mute and unmute and *9 to raise your hand. If you do wish to attend in person, the meeting is being held in the Chamber of Councils on the second floor of the municipal building. And with that, I want to make one quick comment. As anyone who has looked at the agenda, we can see that we have a lot of public hearings in front of us right now. We currently have 10 public hearings, and in the coming month, we expect an additional 7. So I would like for the commission moving forward, if the commissioners are all in agreement, that for all of our public hearings, we would like to see everybody actively working on their projects. I suggest that if we have more than 2 hearings in a row of no attendance and no visible work being done on a project, that we move forward with closing said project and they can reapply when they are ready to move forward. At this point, we're already here till about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and I can't ask the commission, and according to our bylaws, we're supposed to be wrapping up meetings by 11 p.m. So if we're all in agreement, I think that's how we should move forward. We're also currently working on rewriting the bylaws, so we will add this into the bylaws when they are rewritten, but I would like it on public record that that will be our plan moving forward.
Agreed.
Wonderful. That works for everybody?
Agreed.
All right. So make it a matter of public record then, please, and thank you. And then, due to the amount of public hearings, are there any objections if we go ahead and start with the MBZAs?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Is that okay with everybody?
Yep.
Okay, and is okay with everyone in the public to jump into that first then? Tyler, does that work for you as far as, all right. And Precola, is that all right with you if we move forward with that? Thank you.
Good idea.
And sorry, before we jump into our first MBZA, I'm going to do a quick roll call of the commission.
Jeff Livingston here, Mark LePage here.
Jeff Milne here.
Michael Ryan here.
Roger Trahan here.
And Meg Hagan here. All right, so our first MBZA is for 99 Highland Street. Do we have anyone here from 99 Highland Street?
Yes.
Wonderful. You can write your name just to check in. Right there would be amazing, yep. And then,
I sit here?
yes, please.
Perfect.
That's perfect.
I think I'll pick up your voice.
And there is that sign-in sheet right next to you when you have a second as well. Please, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bill Yadacernia. I'm an engineer, and the applicant's son, anyways, Darren Lang is here. The applicant is Michael Lang at 99 Highland Street, and it's proposed as a minor buffer zone activity. It's construction of a approximately 10-foot deep or 10-foot wide by 44-foot long awning. It's over the front of the house. The awning is made out of wood with an asphalt roof, and the base would be patio blocks, the ground underneath it. The foundations, I think in your documents, I recommended, or we had proposed a 4-foot deep sonotube. It's a concrete, it has to be excavated. We've also been looking into a auger. These augers are much less ground disturbance, so you screw them into the ground, and the ground disturbance is much less. You don't have to worry about excavation and all that soil that's disrupted. The minor buffer zone, the activity is 89 or so feet from the edge of the bordering vegetated wetlands. The ground disturbance is about 450 square feet, of which about 90 square feet is actually in the buffer zone. The rest of it is outside the buffer zone, as you can see on the sketch. So I think that's I think that's pretty much it. Everything, we think that everything complies with the criteria of the minor buffer zone activity. It's outside the 25 feet. It's, less than the required amount of disturbance. So I believe that it complies.
And just confirming, it's already on pre-disturbed, correct? It's already on a pre-disturbed area, it's already on lawn is where that's
Oh,
going?
it's basically on the lawn. There's actually some walkway there. There's an actual walkway, so it's all yes, correct. It's all previously disturbed area. You can see from the photographs that it's not on the entire front of the house. It's just on the main portion of the house. That little addition on the left-hand side is not, will not have the awning.
Okay. Great, and Bricolai, do you have any comments on the matter? Sorry. All right, all set there. Any comments or questions from the commission?
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I feel like we're pretty straightforward here. Yeah. All right, well, can I have a motion to go ahead and approve the MBZA for 99 Highland Street, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the MBZA to 99 Highlands, for 99 Highland Street with standard conditions.
Yes, thank you.
Second that.
And Jeffrey, how do you vote?
To approve?
Vote to approve.
Vote to approve.
Approve?
Approve.
And I vote to approve. You guys are all
Thanks a
set
lot.
then. Thank you so
very
much.
Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And that will bring us to our second MBZA, which is for 386 Coronation Drive. Do we have anyone here from 386 Coronation Drive? If nobody in chambers, Bricolai, do you know if anyone from the project was planning on coming?
I believe the homeowners were planning on coming, but all the same, I feel comfortable presenting the project.
Okay, that'd be great if you don't mind.
Sure. So similarly, this is for a single-family home addition, except this is on the back of the house in existing disturbed lawn within the 50 to 100-foot buffer zone. Unfortunately, square foot impact was not given when they filed. However, the scope of work would otherwise be approved if it was any other typical filing. And like I said, it is in with existing disturbed lawn. So I would ultimately recommend approval. I would defer to the commission on erosion controls though, considering that the addition is wetland facing. The backyard is not graded. Contours are flat. So unless we really flood, I don't think there's a big concern of erosion, but if the commission did want to consider erosion controls, that is your right. So other than that, I'd recommend approval with standard MBZA conditions.
And we-
I think based on that, I would personally like to see erosion control. Is
yeah, I think-
any other thoughts on that?
And we're okay with the silt fence. Look like was a recommendation. Bricolai.
Well, so I put that in there. The commission generally conditions biodegradable wattles. For a larger developer, that's usually a drop in the bucket. For a resident, those tend to be quite expensive. So I did pose the idea of a silt fence versus a straw wattles, especially given that we are past a hard freeze. Now, my overall concern with the silt fence is that they get frozen in the ground and they can't be removed or are not removed.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, one would assume in someone's personal property, they would
Yeah,
not want to be
right.
looking
Want
at
that,
that. I think they're more
yeah,
likely
right.
to remove that than
That's
a
what I
larger
was
site.
thinking, yeah.
Any thoughts on it?
Sounds pretty straightforward.
Okay. And Jeffrey, good with the silt fence as well?
Can we maybe condition that the silt fence be removed at a certain time?
Yeah.
So they, sorry to interrupt. For the standard MBZA conditions, I'm actually afforded notification prior to the start of work and when the project is finished. So that just is rolled into my monitoring of project completion.
Okay.
Even better,
So-
thanks.
Yeah, so just with being notified of the completion of the project,
This has come up before.
yeah, that we're
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
that's good
same
as the condition itself to, okay. And I'm good to
And
go with that.
She's right, I mean, it's a personal property, you're not gonna leave the thing.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Any other comments or questions from the commission?
No.
All right, well, with that, can I have a motion to approve the MBZA for 386 Coronation Drive with standard MBZA conditions in addition to the condition for erosion control with a silt fence or biodegradable wattles if they decide to go that path?
I'll give a motion to approve the MBZA for 386 Coronation Drive with conditions as specified.
Thank you.
Nice work, Jeff.
Second.
Thank you. Jeff, how do you vote?
approved?
Vote to approve.
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 I vote to approve as well. We have the MBZA for 386 Coronation Drive is approved with conditions as stated. All right. Do we want to tackle the permit modification or do public hearings
Yeah, it's
first?
right here,
Yeah.
Let's-
right.
let's,
All right, do we have anyone here for the permit modification for 515 West Central Street?
Okay.
Michael, I see that you're there. We just don't have any sound for you.
Oh, sorry. How
there we
about
go.
now? Okay, great. Hi, Michael Hassett from Gary and Halnon. So I'll get right into it. So we were before the commission a little while back requesting a couple field changes out at the site, 515 West Central Street. At the previous hearing, you guys approved the field change related to the retaining wall modifications. And there were some outstanding comments from Beta that needed to be addressed for the pervious paver replacement with pervious pavement. So we've gone through and done that. We've made those revisions that Beta was requesting. And I believe their primary concern was some cleaning up of the stormwater documentation and some modification of the pervious pavement cross-section. So they had requested a flat bottom. It was previously sloped, and then they have requested that this 4-inch perforated HTP underdrain be lifted off the bottom so that when and if conditions allowed, there would be recharge promoted as opposed to always preferring the pipe first. We bumped up the pervious pavement thickness to 4 inches to address some bearing capacity concerns. And I think there were some minor revisions to inverts as related to all of that. But we were before the planning board on Monday, and they approved these field changes. And so we're here tonight asking for your approval pending any questions or concerns you might have.
Great, thanks, Michael. Bricolai, do you have anything?
Yes, actually clarifying question for you, Michael. When I connected with the town planner, she did state that and I saw the letter, that Mr. Rondo signed, that they did add the conditions per Beta's letter. That's correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yep.
Okay.
And we're comfortable with that.
Okay. So sorry if you had said that.
Yep.
It's a lot of fog to hear through in my head right now. With that being said, then I would recommend the commission approve the changes as well with the conditions stated in the letter from Beta dated February 1st, 2024.
In addition to our standard conditions? Or those conditions are already conditioned through the project approval?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep. So they're just coming back for amended order, and since these conditions are specific to planning board decisions and planning board has already conditioned these, it's probably a moot point, but we're just tacking on our support.
Perfect. All right, any comments or questions from the commission?
all good.
All right, well, with that then, can I have a motion to approve the permit modification for 515 West Central Street with conditions as stated in the Beta letter dated February 1st, 2024 with the subject 515 West Central field changes?
I'll give you a motion to approve the permanent modification for 515 West Central Street with conditions as stated.
Thank you.
Second.
Jeff, how do you
Vote to approve.
Vote to approve.
Approve?
Approve.
vote? I also vote to approve. We have approved the
Thanks so much for your
permit
time.
modification for 515 West Central Street. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you. Have a good night.
We'll come back to our violations enforcement later. Too bad Richard's not here. All right, thank you for everyone waiting for the public hearings. With that, we're gonna open up our public hearing, number 1 for our ANRAD for 1 Paddock Lane. Do we have anyone here for 1 Paddock Lane, please? All right, it appears we do not. Bricolai, are you able to give us an update on 1 Paddock Lane?
Sure. So as we discussed at the last meeting, we were coordinating a site visit. We did have that site visit last Thursday on the 1st. John and I did agree with wetland flags 48 and 49, but as discussed and anticipated for the small upland island that Goddard Consulting delineated recently, we did not agree with it being consistent with upland. To that point, I did request that the applicant, if wanting to contest this upland island, submit data forms to demonstrate that the area actually is upland. No new information has been submitted, and I have not received a follow-up, whether confirming that they would submit revised information or attend the meeting or not attend the meeting. We did leave the site visit in disagreement, and I haven't heard anything else. So I actually deferred to the commission on the path forward for this project.
Thanks, Bricolai.
Is there anything left for us to do here? We've had Bader, we've had Brickley out there, they've had their findings.
Yeah.
Are we at a point here that we can just close?
Yes.
I think we, at this point, if the applicant is gonna continue to not be present and not ask for continuances, I'm glad to see they did go out for the site visit since the weather was better, but it's my thoughts that, as stated, if we're not gonna be seeing applicants actively working on things and coming to commission meetings, that we can close them and they can refile when they are ready to move forward.
Yes.
Are we all in agreement?
100%.
Yes.
Yeah. Bricolai, are you comfortable with us going forward with this path from your perspective?
Yes.
All right. Well, with that, then can I have a motion to deny the NRAD for 1 Paddock Lane?
Do you want
Or we have to
close
close first, right?
first?
Sorry, yep. Motion to close, please.
Can I give you a motion to close the NRAD for 1 Paddock Lane?
Second that.
Awesome.
Vote to close?
Vote to close.
Vote to close.
Close.
Vote to close.
I vote to close as well. And can I have a motion to deny the NRAD for 1 Paddock Lane, please?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Jeff, how do you vote?
Vote to deny.
Vote to deny.
Vote to deny.
Vote to deny.
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 And they are obviously welcome to refile when they are ready to move forward. With that, I will open up our second public hearing for the NOI for 15 Liberty Way. Do I have anyone here from 15 Liberty Way?
Yes, I'm here on Zoom.
Hi, Chris, how are you?
Sorry, may
How's
may I interrupt for one question? I don't know if it's appropriate at this point, but I just want to understand if 1 Paddock Lane becomes active again, the abutters will be re-notified, is that accurate?
Yes, and John, my apologies, I should have opened that up for public comment, so you would have had time to answer that question, but absolutely, so if they reapply, they'll have to go through the same process of a butter notification, so you will be notified if they choose to do so.
Thank you very much for all your work on this.
Yeah, thanks, John, we appreciate it. All right. Chris, go right ahead.
All right. Do I have permission to share my screen here?
Yep, give me just a minute, Tyler's adding me right now. You should be good to go, Chris, thanks.
Awesome. All right. My name is Chris Frateroli. I'm a wetland scientist with Goddard Consulting. We're talking about 15 Liberty Way here again tonight. Just to reorient everybody, we have Liberty Way coming down here in the southeast corner of this, existing warehouse building, parking areas, etc. And this area up to the north is our proposed work area. So we understand that we only filed these revisions yesterday. We had some delays getting site plans together. So we know that nobody has had any significant time to look at this. So we understand that, and I'm here to just kind of give you an overview and take any questions you might have.
Great, thanks, Chris.
So I colored up this site plan. Pink here is going to be the proposed parking expansion. As part of that parking expansion, there's these two small isolated wetlands up here with bylaw jurisdiction that are proposed to be impacted. And this is, essentially about 2,400 square feet of wetland impact up here. Now, the new part of this proposal is coming as a result of some of the stormwater comments issued by Beta under the planning board review. So what the engineers have done, and this is really due to kind of the limited space on the site, is propose a stormwater basin over here on the western portion of the parking area. You'll note, obviously, there's no denying that this has wetland impacts in the form of these portions of isolated wetlands here. We do not dispute that the commission has jurisdiction over these as IVWs, but we also think it's very clear that these are constructed stormwater features. So essentially what this proposal is to take these, poorly maintained or maybe never maintained stormwater features that have developed wetland characteristics over time, and essentially expand, enlarge, and enhance those stormwater features. And what we're trying to do is to replace those essentially in kind. So what this looks like on the ground, a couple of photos here. You can see this is that blue polygon from the previous slide. It's a stormwater basin that has developed wetland features over time. You can see the riprap lining over here. You can see the concrete outlet structure at the down gradient end of this ponded area, as well as more riprap lining over here. So what we are proposing is to essentially take those, expand them, make use of them as a stormwater feature, and plant them such that we are essentially replacing the lost wetland functionality in terms of vegetation, wildlife habitat, and those sorts of things. So this is a proposed planting plan we put together. The idea is to vegetate it thoroughly with herbaceous species primarily down at the bottom, and then provide additional, woody species along the banks that will tolerate and actually prefer having their feet wet, so to speak. That will, we anticipate that this will improve water uptake, nutrient removal, those types of things. This area here, the proposed basin, is about 6,700 square feet. So that is slightly more, if we were to call this wetland replication, that is slightly more than a 1-to-1 ratio of the entirety of these 4 impacted wetlands here. Again, due to space constraints, there's really no good places on the site to actually replicate wetlands. So what we have right now as our design is this more or less 1-to-1 replacement of these stormwater IVWs. And then we have also provided nearly an acre, or slightly over an acre actually, of invasive species management as additional mitigation. So I know we had talked about this in the past. There's an easement along this side here that town DPW mows regularly. So that will be excluded from the planting area, but we'll still be managing the invasives in there. There's a pretty good dominance of some invasive vines that run along the ground, as well as some stump sprouted things like multiflora rose in there. So there's still benefits to managing invasives there, but that's only going to be seeded. The entire remainder of that invasive species management area is going to be planted with native species to kind of fill in the gaps left by the invasive species that were removed. So So that is essentially the summary of where we're at now. Again, understanding that no one's had time to look at this in depth. I'd be happy to take any questions, feedback, anything along those lines, but that's where our proposal stands at the moment.
So, Bricolai, any comments from your end?
Two so far, but I might think of more. Chris, on this drawing, where's the limit of the easement?
The easement's a little tough to see. It's these dashed lines over here, and it essentially, you can see the dashing there as well. There's actually 3 easements that run along this area. So they overlap a bit and they're not super pretty, but this proposed work essentially comes up right to the edge of that easement.
Okay. So for context for the commission, I was asking because DPW opposed any woody vegetation in their easement, and this basin on the banks, they're proposing woody vegetation. And then just a clarifying comment for the commission, more precautionary, not against this project, just something that I foresee and something that we've dealt with, is that Chris is right. They are constrained for their replication, but this will be a stormwater basin. And we are, as we've seen on other projects, basins need to be maintained. They need to have O&M plans, or if they're not being maintained, then there's jurisdictional issues, which actually applies to this parcel, doesn't it, Chris? So, so that's just something that I would like the commission to consider, that while this definitely does have vegetation indicative of a wetland restoration or replication, it's still designed as a stormwater basin. But other than that, I don't have any other comments. Thank you, Chris. That was helpful.
Absolutely.
Bricolai, could you repeat the issue with the woody plants?
Sure. So because DPW maintains this easement, thanks, Chris, maintains the sewer easement right here. They mow it routinely. So when we were looking at replication for the IBW impacts to the northeast here, the easement was land to utilize for that. But because DPW maintains this easement and mows it, they do not want woody vegetation planted. Therefore, it's not a 1-to-1 in kind replication or 2-to-1.
I get it. Okay.
So the applicant is limited in what they can do.
Got it. I see. Thank you.
And the commission still has to approve a variance. I mean, ultimately, you'll have to approve or deny a variance for this.
That was actually my next question. Is there a variant submitted already for the inability to do the 2-to-1? Is that already in our files here? We do have a variance. I don't know if I don't have a revised variance, so I don't know what differs from this plan versus what was submitted, but.
Yeah, that's a good point. We that was not part of our submittal yesterday, but we will get you a revised variance request encompassing this new proposal.
Thank you. John has a question too, or a comment.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Yes, thank you. Bricolai actually brought up one point I wanted to ask about regarding future operation and maintenance of the basin. If it is intended to kind of serve as both a stormwater basin and something to, mitigate impacts to, historic basins that have developed into wetlands. Chris, I don't know if you know offhand, but do you know if these were designed or if this was designed as an infiltration basin, or if it's intended to be a wet basin?
I don't know that specifically offhand. We dug through the commission's records and the registry of deeds records and really found no evidence of any initial permitting or plans for these stormwater features.
I'm sorry. I meant the proposed basin, if it was going to be a infiltration or a constructed.
Sorry about that. Yeah. I believe the intention was to provide additional infiltration. That came the engineers submitted a response letter to planning board earlier this week, and that information should be in there. It's a little outside of my area of expertise, but I believe the intent was to be an infiltration basin.
Okay, yeah, we can take a look at that specifically and just, kind of determine what the best path forward for operation and maintenance of the basin would be, considering, the future function of the basin as well as future, maintaining this native vegetation that's being planted.
Absolutely. And that is kind of part of our idea here, is that this will allow this part of the stormwater management feature to kind of be maintained. So that's why we left some openings down here in the plantings to allow for better access, to be able to kind of clean out sediments and debris and that sort of thing.
I actually have a follow-up question. No, that I knew I would think of one more. For the invasive species management, can you remind me how long you're proposing that, how long you're proposing monitoring, and considering this is a portion of the variance request and restoration, if the property owner understands what they need to do in the coming years to ensure that the invasive species are maintained?
Absolutely. I believe the invasive species management plan calls for 3 years of monitoring. I know that that's something that, we can discuss if the commission would like to see more than that, or what have you. And yes, I do believe that the property owner is well aware of these concerns.
Thank you, Chris. That's all for me, Chair Hagan.
Thank you, John. Was there anything else from your perspective? Any questions you had?
No, nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you. And any comments or questions? Yep, Roger?
Yeah, who monitors the maintenance of the plants in that basin? I mean, in other words, let's say 5 years from now, they decide to stop doing it. Does anybody pick up on that, or does it just turn into what it sounds like it is now?
So this basin will be covered under the O&M plan for the project as a whole, which will require, regular inspections and maintenance. And I believe that travels with the deed of the property, if I'm not mistaken. As far as the vegetation piece of it, that will be included within the invasive species management plan to ensure that invasive species aren't popping back up in that natively planted area. So it's a little bit of a double-pronged approach there. You have maintenance of the stormwater feature, strictly speaking, under the O&M plan, and then maintenance in terms of managing invasive species under the invasive species management plan.
Okay, and Brigalaya, is there a way around, you said the town doesn't really want trees on that line. Is there a way around that for the applicant to plant something else?
Yeah, I mean, any applicant can propose the world, right? So they can propose other vegetation, but it's to the commission to determine if, one, this is sufficient enough for that replication, since you're not really receiving that. This is functioning as a stormwater basin. It's already not 2-to-1, and it's not 1-to-1. It's a different function aside from that. So they could seed it. They could do other herbaceous ground cover. It doesn't necessarily have to be woody. I definitely think that it's designed as woody to provide as much value and 1-to-1 in-kind replication as possible.
So the
Does that
applicant
answer your
has
question?
options, right?
They have options.
Okay.
They could get creative with it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
And Brigalaya,
Yep.
just to question, so DPW was concerned, I know they didn't want woody vegetation in the easement, but can we follow up with DPW and see from their perspective, if it not on the easement, but on the edge of the,
Yeah, I
on the edge of
was
that,
already
what their
thinking
thoughts
about
are?
Yeah, I was thinking about following up with Jake Stanley, the deputy super,
Yep.
about that. I know he's the one that walked the site, I think, with you, Chris.
Yep.
One of my concerns, I did not vocalize it, was, if it's one of the guys just out mowing, they may overshoot that easement. So that's also a concern. Definitely not something, I think that happens across the entire globe, right? So maybe needling applicants at that point, but something for the commission to consider, especially when you have this variance request for a replication. Does that make sense?
I'm wondering if woody vegetation is there, if they're less likely to.
That could be.
to mow
Yeah.
into the-
Yeah.
Once it grows,
Yeah.
but it has to grow. That's the
True,
thing.
true, it does have to grow
Problem is,
first.
You don't want it mowed down. like,
Yeah,
but- And obviously,
I mean,
you don't want the applicant to have to go out and actually replant all the trees all the time. It's not fair either.
true.
There's gotta
at
be
that
some
point, I
sort
would
of-
suggest
Yeah, there's gotta be some sort
stake
of daytime.
with
Yeah,
paint.
staking out the site for DPW to, yeah,
There's gotta be
seems
some
like an
sort
easy
of
fix.
grading DPW, so.
Yeah, can we follow up with DPW, Bricolai, just to get their thoughts on that and how we can move forward as well? Thank you.
Yes.
Any other comments or questions from the commission?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, Michael.
So what is the square footage of the existing stormwater basins versus the proposed expanded?
So the actual basin itself here is shown in blue. That's about 2,900 square feet. You can see down here. This orange polygon is the tail end of what's essentially a vegetated riprappy swale. That section is just shy of 800 square feet. And then these two up here, which in truth have kind of arisen from a seep from this swale wetland on this side. Those two total about 2,400 square feet. So all in all, the total IVW impact is about 6,100 square feet. And then this proposed basin here is about 6,800 square feet.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
I guess just to so those two that are in the proposed parking area, though, those are IVW, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. And they're not really being replicated, it sounds like.
Yeah, so again, we come back to the space issue on that topic, right? So we have, if we're calling this basin kind of an in-kind replication of what's there, it's more or less a 2-to-1 replication of these two impacted IVWs here. And then in addition to that, we've provided a substantial amount of invasive species management, kind of hoping to bridge that gap and mitigate for these impacts, at a much higher ratio than 1-to-1 or even 2-to-1.
Thank you.
And Chris, I just have a quick question too. I know going back to our original discussions on this site, and we talked about whether the blue and orange IVW, were you ever able to find documentation that those were planned out as stormwater basins, or that's just the assumption based on what you're finding there?
We've found no information from the original construction of these features. Nothing in the commission's records, nothing in the registry of deeds. There are a couple of plans that were, survey plans in the last 5 or 10 years that did identify them as stormwater or detention basins or something to that effect, but nothing conclusive from the construction of the site.
Okay. Thanks for that. Any other comments or questions? And any comments or questions from the public on 15 Liberty Way?
Well, maybe one other question. Chris, hey, I'm sure there's a need for the parking. What would the total impact be if we didn't pave over those two IVWs?
These two here?
Yeah.
So you're saying if we kind of cut the parking short of that?
Yeah, I mean, just, yes.
I don't have that number offhand, but I think as far as IVW impacts, we'd lessen IVW impacts by about 2,400 square feet. I don't have the numbers offhand for the remainder of the buffer zone around those.
Okay.
Interesting question though. Is it still a feasible project without
Yeah,
maintaining those IPWs?
I mean, it doesn't seem to be a great deal of the parking right up in that corner. So just maybe something to consider.
Understood. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I do have one more question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
This is either probably for Bricolai or Jonathan. I'm just wondering, this is not normally what we do, combining wetlands and stormwater. Is there a good reason for that?
No, I actually foresee issues if this property was ever sold, or change of use, or the basins are not maintained, or they're over maintained, or they have to bring in soils that will infiltrate and then not be able to support wetland vegetation. So if I was a commissioner, I would consider it a completely change of use. Stormwater's great. We obviously need stormwater management, but in my brain, I would not consider it a replication.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind, I'm sorry, through the chair, I wouldn't mind knowing how many actual parking spaces would be eliminated should we not touch that area.
May I give a suggestion?
Please.
Chris, because we like options, would you be able to, one, calculate that for the commission, but two, perhaps calculate tier it per buffer zone? So if you had to touch the 0 to 25, 25 to 50, and 50 to 100, so we can see full-scale impacts of what that might mean.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
resource. Thank
So
you.
I'm thinking that might look like kind of cutting it off short of the 25 here and then kind of reevaluating that maybe? Is that kind of what you're going for?
Yeah, I mean, you can throw in the 0 to 25 foot too. I think that's important for the commission to know.
Got it.
Yeah, I think it would be good to see those numbers and what that looks like.
Yeah, I can get that done for you.
Awesome. Well, if everyone's okay with that, we'll go ahead and continue this to February 22nd. That will allow the agent and Beta and the commission time to review in a bit more detail everything that's been submitted, so we can pick up this discussion for the next meeting. Is that for
All right.
everybody? Have a motion?
Give you a motion to continue the NOI for 15 Liberty Way to February 22nd at 7:01.
Second?
Jeff, how do you vote?
Continue?
Vote to continue.
To continue.
Continue?
Continue.
I vote to continue. So the
Thanks,
NOI
Chris.
for 15 Liberty Way is continued to February 22nd at 7:01 PM. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, folks. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
With that, I will open up the ANRAD for 124 to 126 Grove Street. Do we have anyone here for 124 or 126 Grove Street?
Yes, hello. My name is Nicole Hayes with Goddard Consulting.
Hey, Nicole, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Very well, thanks.
At the last hearing, I think we were all set about issuing the ANRAD. I think Bricolai just needed to draft up the ORAD and then vote, if that's correct.
Yes, that
Yep, that's
is-
correct.
That is. Bricolai, do you have any further comments, but other than the ORAD is in our file here?
No further comments. You do have the draft ORAD, but additionally, I did include one special condition, and that is for the existing violation for work within 25 to 50, 0 to 25. near BVW flag 10, 11, and 12. So if the commission recalls, when this was filed, the property owner just pushed soil away from one of their like loading docks and pushed it towards the wetland to create a nice parking spot for their like mini excavator. So at the time of that was actually discovered on the initial site visit that I had with Scott Goddard at this filing. And we just discussed that they will restore that when they file a notice of intent. And conditions are issued. I did include a stipulation in there, though, a temporal stipulation that if a notice of intent is not filed by June 1st of this year, that we still need to see that restoration.
Great. Glad to see that in there. Thank you. Any comments or questions from the commission? Any comments or question from the public on 124, 126 Grove Street? All right, with that, I will take a motion to close the ANRAD for 124, 126 Grove Street.
I'll give you a motion to close the NRAD for 124 to 126 Grove Street.
Second.
Awesome, and can I have a motion to, oh, sorry, vote to close.
Vote to close.
Vote to close.
Close?
Close.
And vote to close, thank you. And can I have a motion to approve the ANRAD for 124, 126 Grove Street with standard conditions? In addition to special condition 1, the applicant shall provide restoration for the unpermitted work within the 25-foot buffer zone near BVW flag 10, 11, and 12. Upon an order of conditions, the applicant shall provide restoration at a 2-to-1 ratio. If the applicant does not file a notice of intent by July 1, 2024, the applicant shall provide restoration for the disturbed area regardless of a filing of notice of intent or issuance of an order of conditions.
I'll give you a motion to approve the ANRAD on 124, 126 Grove Street with the conditions as stated.
Second. And Jeff, how do you vote?
Vote to approve.
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 And I vote to approve. So we have approved the ANRAD for 124, 126 Grove Street. Thanks, Nicole.
Thanks, Nicole.
Okay, thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Good night.
Good night. And I am going to recuse myself from this next one.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, we will open the ANRAD for Tri-County Vocational Technical High School. Do we have anybody here from Tri-County VoTech?
Yes, Commissioner LePage. It's Steve Powers from Semiotis Consultants.
Hey, Steve,
How are you?
how are you?
Great. So I had contacted Bricolai earlier today and asked for a continuance to the hearing. I just wanted to just appear briefly and let the commission know. We do not have any new materials to present to you. We did meet with Bricolai and John last week, and we're working on putting everything together and submitting new materials for review and presentation in front of the commission. So we are asking for a continuance, but I wanted to let you know that we are proactively working on moving this forward.
Thank you, Steve. Bricolai, any thoughts?
No thoughts. I did include some new information in your agent report. That new information summarizes very briefly what we discussed on site at our site visit. However, if it benefits the commission and for the sake of time, we can discuss these items when we have a response back from the applicant.
Yeah, that makes sense. Everybody good with that?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Any comments from the public? All right, any comments on Zoom? All right, let's see if we get a motion to continue the ANRAD on Tri-County Vocational Technical High School.
Mr. Chairman, I'll give you a motion to continue the NRAD for Tri-County Regional Vocational Technical High School to February 22nd?
Yep.
And what were we at, 7:03 now?
7:02.
7:02.
Perfect.
Second.
All right, Jeff,
Continue.
vote to continue?
Vote to continue.
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 Thanks. We will continue the ANRAD Tri-County Vocational Technical High School. Steve, thanks a lot.
All right, thank you.
Good to see
Appreciate
you.
it. Talk to you soon.
Mitch from Goddard is raising his hand.
I'm sorry? Oh,
Mitch, I see that you
Mitch?
have your hand raised. Did you have a comment?
Yes, I just was here for One Paddock Lane. I had some personal things come up. I didn't make it for the 701 hearing, and I was wondering if, we could discuss One Paddock Lane. I just had a couple of updates. We went to a site visit with Brika and Jonathan last week, and we're in the process of getting site plans over to you guys with some
Mitch.
revisions. And
Mitch, I'm going to interrupt you. Unfortunately, since no one was here and we didn't have any additional information, we did end up closing and denying the ANRAD for now, with the comment that you'd be able to reapply, as we thought we had no new information and no request for a continuance.
oh, geez. Okay. All right. I apologize for not being here at 7 then.
No, and I apologize that you had something else come up too, and that's the route that we went. So, I guess if you want to follow up with Bricolai, is that all right with you? If Mitch follows up with you tomorrow, and we'll figure out our best path forward.
Of course.
Yep. Okay. I'll talk with Brika tomorrow and go from there. Thank you,
Awesome.
Commissioner.
Thanks, Mitch. I appreciate it.
thanks.
Yep.
All right. With that, I will open up the NOI for 0 Bent Street. Do we have anyone here from 0 Bent Street?
Yes, good evening.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
For the record, my name is Chris Lucas with Lucas Environmental, professional wetland scientist and registered soil scientist. We also have the applicant, Stephen Keller, here, as well as Ben Messersmith from Proterra Design Group. Just briefly, at the last hearing, we went through the comments from Beta. We responded. We got the impression that the commission and Beta were satisfied with those comments. Since that time, I know we understand that it was continued so Bricolai could review the response. We formalized everything that we presented to you in a response letter that was submitted on January 31st. We think that adequately addresses everything. We've reviewed the agent's report, which had several conditions. The first 4, I believe we discussed, and the applicant has no objection to. We did want to discuss the recommendation for special condition 55 regarding a construction sequencing and schedule for a phased approach. Our concern with that is it's a very small project. It's a small footprint. It may only take 3 or 4 months to construct the entire project, and it's going to consist of clear cutting, which will take 4 or 5 days, grubbing and laying in the rough road, which should be another 3 or 4 days. And frankly, the work's about, as we said last time, we're about 390 feet from the vernal pool. If we were right up against it or in the 100-foot buffer, I would concur we should provide more detail, but due to the distance, I can pull up the plan if the commission would like, but I think we're more than sufficiently away. The work for the majority, pretty much the entire roadway and the tower itself are completely outside the 100-foot buffer zone for the wetland that is bordering on that vernal pool, or potential vernal pool. So we don't feel that that's necessary, but we have no issue with the other conditions and think they're more than appropriate. And we're just seeking the commission close the hearing tonight and approve. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. So, Bricolai, I know in our special conditions, we did put on the western portion of the property. Can we maybe define that a little bit more clearly for this? Or get your thoughts on defining that more clearly, like how?
Yeah. Sure. So at the last meeting, it was brought up about the discharge point being 90 to 95 feet away from the BBW with the vernal pool internal to that. Mm-hmm. And it was discussed, or at least the commission seemed to agree with a phased approach to ensure that construction on that portion of the property closest to the vernal pool and BBW holding the vernal pool would either occur outside of the breeding season or be a phased approach. To work cooperatively with the applicant, if phasing is not an option, then I suggest just constructing outside of the vernal pool breeding season. But again, defer to the commission.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pull up the map of the, look at that again.
So we were worried more about the discharge, right, Bricolai, than the
Yeah.
construction itself?
Yep.
Yeah, so I can definitely be more specific with the special condition. The phasing was really just working your way in.
Right.
Yeah.
So then that part, you know, that their access is on the northeastern portion. So just
Right. And, you know, it's, you know, we could phase something out, but the project's gonna move quickly. You know, if you need to condition a schedule, we could provide that, but it'll be, you know, clearing 1 week, grubbing and road, you know, laying out. And then once that, you know, the erosion controls are gonna be in, so that area is gonna be protected anyway with erosion controls. So we don't see any potential for an adverse effect here to the wetland or the vernal pool. But if the commission needs something, we can provide it. I think it's just, there's not gonna be a lot to it solely because it's a quick
Sure.
project. You know, this could be constructed quicker than a house maybe, you know.
Sure. So in that case, maybe just conditioning that it starts after the spring vernal pool breeding season.
The concern with the applicant, that could restrict construction depending on the timing. We don't know when this project's going to begin. We're hoping to move forward this spring potentially. You know, like we said, if we have proper erosion controls, the critters can migrate around the project. There's plenty of ample wooded uplands and wetlands around this property, so we would prefer not to have a restriction on that. And like I said, we can provide some level of sequencing and you know, a schedule if as a condition, if that's what the board needs.
Can I weigh in? This is Steve Kelleher. So Brika, I'm trying to understand. I don't have the plan pulled up, but because we're doing some of that erosion, that stormwater stuff on the west side, right, closer to the wetland. So theoretically, we could put our road in, get the foundation in and backfilled, and then kind of on the way out after the breeding season, do the work closer to the buffer, to the wetland. Is that what you're indicating?
That's exactly what I'm saying. So
Okay.
you do 80% of it, and then you finish off that last bit.
Yeah. So as long as we can do the outline of the road, grub that out,
Yeah.
down the
Yep.
date, put the foundation in, backfill it. You know, Chris, I kind of misunderstood when we spoke earlier, Chris. We could kind of do, Ben, we can do some of that stormwater management stuff on the outside of the compound, you know, on the way out, because it's not like, you know, we're not going to be in and out of there in 3 weeks. So, and I think that, I don't know the exact dates for that, what's the dates, Chris or Brika, what that would be that we could finish that up after that?
Well, the breeding activity usually takes place in March and April.
Okay.
And then the critters might migrate out. And,
All right, so yeah, so we can, and I don't mean to, Chris, I didn't mean to undercut you, because we weren't looking at plans and we spoke, so now that I'm understanding what she's talking about, as long as we can do the foundation in the base of the road, hit the other stuff on the way out that's closer to the wetlands, yeah, because we're not gonna be out of there, you know, before May anyway, so.
Okay, great. No, that's good. I think we're on the same page now. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Stephen. Bricolai, do you have any additional comments or questions?
None, unless the commission would like to tweak the wording. I can also expand upon it as well.
So,
Yeah, I guess maybe.
I will not-
Do you want to read into,
Okay.
do you understand, like, I think we're on the same page as to what we're, like, how to define that a little bit more. Do you want to just read that into the record in a better way than I could at the moment? If that works for you, or do
Put
you
me
want
on the spot, Chair Hagan.
I mean, I can read it as I would see, but I think yours would probably be more succinct.
I appreciate your faith. Okay. So a construction sequence and schedule indicative of a phased approach. I'm just going to read it first. Sorry. A construction sequence and schedule indicative of a phased approach that refrains from development and construction of the western portion of the property. That is, portions of the property such as the discharge point related to the stormwater system closest to the vernal pool and surrounding BBW during vernal pool breeding season in spring of 2024 shall be provided and approved to and by the conservation agent and commission prior to the start of work. The applicant may begin construction on other portions of the property prior to this approval.
Thank you.
Well said.
Very well said. You nailed it, Ricolai. Way to go. Comments or questions from the commission on the project?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
We spoke last time, there were some concerns of some issues with timing that had to go to town council. Have we moved beyond that?
Timing for this one going to town council?
Yes, one of the residents stated that
Oh, follow up with, yeah, I guess we can, check in.
I don't know, is that still an open issue, or?
I am not sure, but we can check with them as they are here. We'll get back to that in just a second. Is there any other comments or questions from the commission at this time?
Thanks.
Okay. Comments or questions from the public, and one of them being, as you come up to speak with us, if you have any update on your concerns that you voiced at last meeting and potentially looking forward at speaking to the town attorney, we'd love to hear some feedback on. So you can sign on in for us and come right up to the mic so everyone can get you on. Thank you. And can you also just state your name for the...
And call me Romy. Nice to see you all. I have some concerns here regarding the revised plan. I was looking over it tonight.
Great.
And a few things that I noticed that has been going back that was told by Steve Kelleher that it was gonna be there. And I noticed on the plans that it's not. So it really concerns me. One is a gate that was supposed to be placed within 20 feet or 20 feet from the street with boulders on either side to prevent people from coming in or dirt bikes having access to that property. It's not, I don't see it on the plans here, the revised plans. Also, I measured tonight that according to the November 18th, 2021 minutes, Stephen Kelleher had said that the tower was going to be 450 feet from my house. I took a measurement, and it looks like it's more like 300 feet. So if this is a revised plan, and these things aren't on here, when was it approved? Who approved this? How can they make changes without the abutters being notified of the changes? Is that something that, I'm not, but is this something they can just do without approval?
As far as my understanding, it's the planning board that actually would approve the site, and Bricolai, you can correct me if I'm incorrect here. So they are the ones that actually look at the site project and how it sits on the property and what compliance it is with local and bylaws and regulations and state bylaws and regulations. So they would be the ones looking in that plan.
Okay.
Our job here is just looking at the wetland resources
Right.
on the property.
And there is a concern on that too.
And I'm just gonna, before we move on to that, I know we do have Stephen on the, Stephen, do you mind commenting on the gate question that Romy has on the property, if that was still in the plan?
Yeah, so from my understanding, we'll have a construction drawing that we submit for our building permit that'll include a gate. I mean, I don't want people up there. So that will be 20 feet in. But relates to what he just meant. So just kind of, I'm sure Breek is looking to jump in, but this was a zoning board project, not a planning board application.
Okay. Yeah.
So we did, originally when we went to the planning board, we were 400 some odd feet from further away from Bench Street, and then because of all the wetlands that we came across, that we went back to the zoning board, which they approved the relocation of the facility up about 100 feet from where we originally had proposed it, just to kind of get away from all the buffer work as much as possible. And so the tower itself is out of the buffer, and so that's kind of in the public record as well. And then and then just from historically, during that process, we had an extension, and during that extension period, we had been working on the project for a while to gain the right access, and the board the board had agreed that the permit, we had taken action on the permit, and so that is the reason why the permit is still active, because we've been working consistently on the project for the last couple of years.
Also,
Thanks, Stephen.
I call it a mosquito breeder that's going in behind the house on the other side of the road. That's something that wasn't proposed way back in 21. And I noticed the runoff from the tower, the platform. I don't know how deep that platform is going to have to be, but I noticed that when that runs off to the west, now that's going to run down towards the area where it pools at Penn Street, correct? And from what I understand is there is an ancient drain going under the street that is failing or failed. So all that extra water that was before going through my property, now it's going to go beside the property, pool at the street, run down towards where that little drain is that I have underneath my driveway, and that's going to collect there. And my concern, not so much for me now, is the neighbors. They have a basement that floods when as it is now. So now you're going to take all that extra water, and that's just going to make it worse for them too. So all this is doing is just redirecting the water.
Bricolai, are you able to make any comment on the stormwater management for the project, or is this something we should sort of direct to Stephen and Chris to sort of talk through a little bit more for the residents here for understanding?
Sure, I would definitely defer to Stephen, Chris, and Ben. I will, if I may, just rewind 2 paragraphs up, please. For the gate with boulders, Stephen is correct. They will have to come for a building permit. In our standard conditions, which were the 4 bulleted points that Chris Lucas had mentioned 5 paragraphs back, one of those conditions is that I have to sign off on that building permit. So everything that I see on the plan you have in front of you has to be consistent. I also diligently track notes, so I don't know if it helps you or not. It may not, but I have written it down as something to look at. Additionally, I just wanted to note that plans and projects do change as they move through the permitting process. So it's very rare that you will find the exact conditions on the first plan that's filed and the plan that gets finalized. So that is not uncommon. And I do know that from when I first met Stephen Keller, at least the plan that I saw actually had a stream crossing and wetland fill, and that has since changed since then, and now there is no wetland fill, there's buffer zone impacts. So speaking from my own experience, it has evolved and changed. I understand it's not my house, and I understand I don't have to look at it, so I think we can at least all sympathize with that. But I did just want to, make that comment. As for stormwater, additionally, because this is a telecommunications project as opposed to a single-family home, it is required to have stormwater. If it was a house, it would not have any stormwater treatment. So I also wanted to note that. So with that, I will kick the ball to Chris Lucas and Ben.
Thank you, Bricolai. The project was designed to meet the Massachusetts Stormwater Management Standards, which have they're required to make sure that we don't have any adverse impacts from stormwater to adjacent and direct abutting properties. We've designed it to that. Proterra has been very detailed in their design. That design has gone through a independent peer review with Beta, the town's consultant. So they hired a engineering company to review and make sure Proterra did everything appropriately, and the project has been designed and meets those standards. At this point, we have confirmation from Beta that the project does, and I think there's a good design here to make sure that you'll have no increase in impacts on your property from what you have today. So there won't be a change there.
So all I have to say to you is if that goes in reverse, and I end up with too much water on my property, then who's gonna be responsible?
Well, we don't control the climate and what happens. All we can say is there'll be no additional. Ben, do you want to explain it?
Yeah. So the way the site drains basically from the south to the north, and it kind of splits, halfway up the property and kind of goes northeast and northwest, and the tower compound itself will drain towards a stormwater basin that will provide detention and attenuation to slow release the stormwater to meet existing conditions. And then everything that's going down towards the driveway, just south of the house property, it will get caught in a swale and then sent to the other basin that will also do attenuation and slow down the stormwater flows to meet existing conditions based on the Mass DEP standards. So we're capturing flow that's currently coming down towards the house. It would be caught in our soil and sent around to the wetland area that's to the northeast, I guess, of the driveway. So in theory, that's all going to be reducing the amount of runoff that's even going towards the Bent Street frontage area.
I like that word, in theory. I've been in my house 40 years, and I know what's going on back there, so. All I'm saying is somebody's gonna be responsible if it doesn't go the way you're saying it's gonna go. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Romy. Thanks for coming in. Thanks, Ben and Stephen and Chris. Do we have any other comments or questions from the public? And any further comments or questions from the commission? All right. Well, I just want to take a minute to say that I know this has been a difficult project for the neighbors and abutters, and we certainly empathize with the amount of water that you currently have on your properties and your concern for what, a project on this site will do. I would like to reiterate our agent's comments that that this project does at least have stormwater management, whereas if you were there to put a house or multiple houses on that property, they wouldn't be afforded that same condition. So I hope we can take some solace in that there is some stormwater management, and it should hopefully not make anything worse for you, whereas a single home may make the conditions worse on that site. With that being said, the project itself does meet all our requirements for our local bylaws and for the Wetlands Protection Act. I don't foresee any reason for us to deny the project or, aside from the conditions stated, it is meeting the requirements for us to approve it unless anyone else sees otherwise.
I agree. I mean, it's tough, but it fits within the guidelines. Yeah.
Yep. Well, I think with that, then, I think we're ready.
Close.
I think we'll go ahead and take a motion to close.
I'll give you a motion to close.
Madam Chair.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Bricolai.
Sorry to interrupt, but we did not actually read the conditions as well.
Thank you.
We just wrote.
So we are, we'll put a motion after we close to approve. We're looking at special conditions 19 through 41, 44, 46, 47 through 51. with special condition 52, a restoration plan inclusive of native plantings and seed for the approximate 1,205 square foot disturbed areas within the 25-foot buffer zone shall be submitted and approved to and by the conservation agent and commission prior to the start of work. Special condition 53 is a signed operations and maintenance plan shall be provided and approved to and by the conservation agent and commission prior to the start of work. Special condition 54, the potential vernal pool PVP to the west of the project site shall be field surveyed and certified during the spring of 2024. Certification documentation shall be provided to the conservation agent and the commission. And then special condition 55, as stated previously in this meeting by our conservation agent, Bricolai. So with that, can I have a motion to close the NOI for 0 Bent Street?
I'll give you a motion to close the NOI for 0 Brent Street.
Second that.
Jeff, how do you vote?
Vote to close.
Vote to close.
Close?
Vote to close.
And I also vote to close. And can I have a motion to approve the NOI for 0 Bent Street with conditions as stated previously?
I give you a motion to approve the NOI for 0 Bent Street with conditions as stated.
Second.
Jeff, how do you vote?
To approve?
Vote to approve.
Vote to approve.
Approve?
Approve.
I also vote to approve. Stephen, Chris, and Ben, thank you for your time. And to our residents who have been here, thank you for taking your time to come and be part of this process. I know it's been hard, and we really appreciate you taking time to be a part of it. And we are here for any questions you have going forward.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, with that, I will open up the NOI for the proposed solar array at parcel 3160 Maple Street. Do we have anyone here from Maplegate South?
Hello, hey, you got Greg DeBona with Bowler here on Zoom.
Hey, Greg, how are you?
Hey, Greg.
Good. Good to see everybody again. I think we took a little bit of a break from the last meeting, so it's been about a month since we've been in front of you. And tonight, we actually do intend on seeking additional continuance beyond tonight's meeting, but I at least wanted to touch base and give you a quick status as to what we've been up to, because we have revisited the site, done some additional wetland delineation, sent survey crews back out there to pick up the line that did shift, and I just wanted to quickly show the commission what we're looking at. And then our intent is to get our plans back in with formalized responses next week, depicting the changes, depicting the new survey data, and addressing the first round of Beta's comments. So if that's okay, I can do it quickly, but I'll share my screen just to give you a quick update as to what we're seeing in the field and what the impacts are going to be to the plan.
Awesome, you should be good to share, Greg, thanks.
Great, thank you. Okay, just a quick reminder, this was the overall plan from our set, and the area in blue was that northern portion of the Maplegate Country Club that was previously approved under a separate application. The project that we're talking about now is the whole southern piece, which is all shown in black and white. And what I did on this plan is I just quickly highlighted in red. There's 4 areas that were in question that was brought up in Jonathan's letter from Beta. So our environmental consultant, LEC, went back out on the site, walked the site a couple weeks ago, and reset flags. And they ended up actually setting 19 additional flags out there. And again, these are the 4 locations, and I just have 2 blow-up versions to show you what it's going to look like. So next to the kind of one of the larger vernal pool and vegetated wetland, we had a line that previously one of the flags was kind of pointing it further in. We set 2 new flags out there, which will kind of really extend the wetland line a little bit further back into the area of improvement and also adjust our buffer lines. However, I think in this area, this thick gray line kind of delineates our limit of improvements in our fence line. So even with the adjustment of this wetland and the wetland buffers, I don't think, besides maybe our final calculations of how much disturbance we're doing within the buffer line might change slightly, but we're still going to maintain outside the 25-foot no touch, and it won't be impacting that wetland. So that's one area. I just wanted to identify that. On the other plan, and this is kind of where there's more impact, as like the larger Y-shaped wetland, as it then kind of channelizes underneath the existing golf cart crossing and kind of turns into that stream that we talked about. Really on either side, in green shows, that's the highlighted area where we were calling out the wetland line previously. The dash line in red basically aligns with where we've now set the new flags. So it roughly pushes in almost about 20 to 25 feet on both sides, gets wider. The blue represents approximately where about a 25-foot buffer is going to be. So you can see why it's going to impact the plans a bit. We're gonna adjust our fence line, adjust our limit of work line, shift some solar panels around, maybe even lose some solar panels to make sure that we maintain outside of that buffer impact. So that's what we're working on now. Again, I think generally because of the size and the overall area of the project, we'll be able to either shift some panels or make it work. But we will be looking to remedy this with the updated set of plans. And then the fourth area that had some wetland adjustment was, and this is actually the area we were previously calling out some additional wetland compensation to go. So again, the green represents the old line, red represents approximately where the new line is going to be, and the blue is the buffer. So maybe this line, the fence line and the limit of work changes a little bit, but not as much of a solar impact here, but it will change how we delineate our wetland restoration work in this area. We'll still be providing it, and we have plenty of room to provide additional wetland mitigation, but we just got to adjust it. So that's kind of like what we're working on. Again, our plan is obviously to keep moving on this project. We're eager to keep going, but we got to get the correct drawings in, and we just got the survey back actually today, so it takes a little bit of time. We had a couple of those snowstorms in between, which didn't help when it comes to trying to do with flag delineation and survey work. So just trying to time all that is kind of why we got to where we are now. But again, we'll get everything in, we'll get everything back to Jonathan and the team, and look to be able to, further this conversation at our next meeting.
Great, thanks for that overview, Greg. Bricolai, do you have any questions or comments at this time?
Just one comment, and that is only that Bowler has been quite communicative. So
wonderful.
I think they do not fall within the 30-day time limit. So Greg, I think you're okay. I think it's okay. So,
thanks, Bricolai.
yes.
Awesome. And John, I know you're on. I don't know if you had any questions while that. I know you'll have to review everything when it's submitted, but any questions or comments from your end?
Just the comment that I appreciate, LEC going back out for the applicant, just looking at what was roughly sketched out, pretty much matches up with what I observed in the field, just based on my knowledge of the site and looking at the plan. So look forward to reviewing the revised documents. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Any comments or questions from the commission at this time?
All good.
All right. And any comments or questions from the public regarding partial 3 of 160 Maple Street? All right, well, with that, I will take a motion to continue the NOI for the proposed solar array at parcel 3, 160 Maple Street.
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for the proposed solar array, parcel number 3 at 160 Maple Street.
Second that?
That'll be to February 22nd at 7:03
I'm sorry.
p.m. No, that's okay.
Thank you.
Jeff, how you
Vote to continue.
Vote to continue.
Continue?
Continue.
I might also vote to continue. Thanks, Greg. We will see you
Thanks,
in a couple
Greg.
weeks. Appreciate
All
the
right,
update.
thank you all. Bye.
With that, I'm going to open up the NOI for Lot 160 Spring Street. Do we have anyone here from Lot 160 Spring Street?
Good evening, Madam Chair. My name is Steve O'Connell from Turning Point Engineering. I'm on Zoom. Bruce Wilson, who assisted with this application, is in the audience.
Yep.
But I'm happy to do much of the talking. We're here this evening. Bricolai, I had reached out to her earlier today, meant to do it sooner, requesting that this project be continued because we've had some personal circumstances, me personally on my end. We have no objection to the comments we received by Beta just around the new year. A bulk of the work has been completed. It did require some survey work, which was delayed by some weather conditions, locating trees and things of that nature required by your bylaw. So we have revisions substantially completed. We're a few days away from being able to submit those revised plans and some of the narrative and some of the comments we received at the meeting in person on December 14th. I've personally been going through some chemotherapy treatments, and it caused a delay in the preparation of the revisions, and I apologize for that. But like I said, we're a few days away from doing that, and we respectfully request continuation. Again, we have no objection to the comments received to date from the commission or Beta, but just look for a continuation so we can wrap things up.
I'm just returning from Florida. I had the whole month of January, so I just got back on the 4th, so I have not had a chance to get together with Steve and go through some of the field work that their guys had picked up.
Yeah. I would just like to first say, Stephen, my apologies for what you're going through, and please don't ever feel the need to apologize for taking care of your health. That's obviously the most important, and I hope that you're doing well.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming today and for the update.
A question?
Yes.
Why do we have this flag as an existing violation for this one and the next one?
In the Lot 3, Bricolai, would you like to give an update from your?
Yeah. Stephen, I didn't anticipate you attending. That was
no problem.
So this project, all things aside, did open December 14th. I understand now, I did hear that Bruce was on vacation. I received no notice in January of any continuation. Here we are in February. And it has come to my attention that work has actually started on the property. They have already started expanding the end of Spring Street, the terminus of Spring Street, and have started removing trees. And the applicant is currently working with DPW in lieu of, DPW fining or enforcement to mitigate that. So I'm obligated to bring it to the commission's attention, considering these projects are in front of you right now.
I can provide some comment on that situation if the commissioner would like.
Sure, please.
So Spring Street is a public way all the way over to Central, actually, but good luck driving it. As you know, you can drive to Spring Street up to the solar project, which I was involved with, and then there's a gravel parking area. So there are 3 lots that are proposed right beyond the existing gravel parking area. Lots 1, actually it's 3, 2, and 1, but there's 3 lots. So the applicant met with DPW and the town engineer, got some specifications on what they wanted for the continuation of the construction of Spring Street, proceeded with the work, then learned that Spring Street is actually a scenic road. He ceased work immediately. I contacted the planning department. We learned of our requirements necessary to comply with the scenic road bylaw. Just got the abutters list. We'll be submitting a letter and request to the planning board for the scenic road. that work is not actually happening on any of these lots. It's actually contained within Spring Street itself. And to the best of my knowledge, outside of any jurisdictional areas of the Conservation Commission. I do think it's important that Bricolai brought it up, just if you're hearing anything around town. So I think it's important that it was brought up, but I'm not aware of any jurisdictional areas. And we are aware of the recent situation of it being a scenic road, which will require some tree mitigation, through the planning board process.
Okay. And Bricolai and Stephen, just to clarify, none of the work that has been done is within wetlands or buffer zone at this point. Is that correct?
So there is a mapped wetland actually to the east of where the, probably right on the line of the proposed limit of work of the gravel road. It looks like a small IVW, but it may place that gravel road in the limits of jurisdictional buffer zone. And then actually after speaking with our town engineer, he did suggest pulling back some of the stone to take a few, to poke a few holes because that area is notoriously wet.
Okay.
And the lots have actually been cleared, right? So you got the road and the lots themselves have been cleared.
They should not be cleared yet.
No, they have not been cleared. They may have been historically cleared.
I drove by it tonight on the way here. The lots are cleared.
Oh, that's good to know. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
Some of the lots
That's-
were cleared with the solar part of it. The furthest lot is still vegetated or still within the woods. And the front lot was cleared long ago when they did the solar project.
Look pretty fresh, just saying. So, from my recollection, 3 and 1 had
The middle lot is partially wooded and.
right, the middle lot was fine, 3 and 1 had the wetlands, right?
Mhm.
So it'd be good to know if the clearing, where that stands relative to the wetlands.
That's one of the things that we're gonna be adding to the plan is the tree line
Yeah.
of what's existing, and then the plans had the tree line post after construction of what would be there, but we were gonna add that additional, the tree line on there to the plans, probably do a second view of just existing conditions.
Okay.
Okay. And can we include that IVW and related buffer zone on
Yeah,
our?
but it's outside jurisdiction.
Okay, including buffer zone as well?
Provide, it's 135 feet away from Spring Street.
Okay.
I'll take a drive out,
Yeah, thanks, Bricolai.
Megan.
Yeah, if you want to schedule something with me, Bricolai, we could, just, if I don't know how you like to operate, if you want to look first and then we can go together. But I'd like to see what you're seeing so we're on the same page, that's all.
Okay, yeah, I'll defer to you on that, Stephen. Whatever sorry, I'm just watching the screen. Whatever you're most comfortable with. I do like to do my own review independent, but we can also piggyback. So
yeah,
just let me know your schedule and what you're feeling up to, and that's fine.
Okay.
And am I correct in
but-
understanding that work has ceased now until permits are in place? Is that?
Absolutely. Once we learned of the scenic road, absolutely, yeah, all work has ceased. I'm not aware of any work that's happened out there in over a month. So I'll be anxious to get out there myself and see if something has changed in the last 10 days since I've been there.
Okay.
Thanks, Stephen.
At this time, for the record, I would just like to put in that property does about the town forest, and I also received a call from some DCR folks as well, just notifying me of this work. It may be what has already occurred in the past month or not, but I thought there was merit in putting that into record.
Yes, thank you for
Yeah,
that.
you are correct. It does abut the state forest. There are placards on the trees demarcating the state forest kind of across the street from where these lots are situated, and you are correct.
All right. Well, I'm glad to hear the work has ceased for
Madam-
now. Oh, go ahead, Stephen.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to, so as I indicated, we'd be looking for a continuance respectfully. I don't know what makes the most sense for a date, because revisions would have to go back to Beta. Beta would have to do a review. Sounds like from listening to the other agenda items tonight, Beta would have quite a few things to review. We're happy to go to the next meeting. We're also happy to go to the meeting after that, whatever you feel is the most appropriate.
I would say based on everything tonight, I personally, and I'll, you know, have discussion for the commission, I would like to continue it to the next meeting, just if nothing for an update, from our
Yep.
perspective, just to keep us fresh in what's happening with the project and how we're going. If that works for you, if we continue from there, we're fine with that, but I think as long as we see that you're actively working on the project and are getting updates as we go, we're happy to continue with that process. Agreed with that.
That sounds fine. I like, yeah, I like the logic.
Awesome. Thanks, Stephen. Any other comments or questions from the commission then at this time? All right, well, with that, I will take a motion to continue the NOI for lot 160 Spring Street to February 22nd at 7:03 PM.
So moved.
Oh, 7:04, sorry.
7:04.
7:04.
Okay, give a second.
Well, can someone give me a motion?
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for lot 160 Spring Street to 22 February 7:04.
Second that.
How do you vote?
Continue.
Continue.
Continue?
Continue.
And I vote to continue. And we will
Thank you.
Thank you.
technically open up our NOI for lot 360 Spring Street, assuming the same comments.
thing.
Same thing.
Same
So
thing.
can I have a motion to continue the NOI for lot 360 Spring Street to
7:05.
7:05?
Need a motion to continue the NOI for lot 360 Spring Street to February 22nd at 7:05.
Second.
Jeff, how do you vote?
Vote to continue.
Vote to continue.
Continue?
Vote to continue.
And we vote to continue. All right, so we look forward to the update, and thanks for coming tonight. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Bruce. Thanks,
Thank
Stephen.
you. Thank you. Good night. Thank you.
All right, I am going to, for tonight, recuse myself from this next one.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. We are going to open up the NOI for 121 Grove Street. Knew anybody here on behalf of 121 Grove Street?
Yes, good evening. This is Chris Lucas with
Chris.
Lucas Environmental, professional wetland scientist and registered soil scientist. I'm also here with Mike Capichetti from RJ O'Connell Associates. May I inquire as to why the chairwoman has recused herself this evening? Because she's been attending the hearings.
Felt for this evening it was appropriate to recuse herself.
Oh, okay, okay. So I guess there's three main points tonight. We understand the board will be voting on their letter to the ZBA. As an update, we did conduct the site walk with Bricolai and Beta to review the streams. They were reviewed in the field and confirmed, which is reflected in your agent's report. And the only other point we were seeking tonight was an update on the completion of Beta's peer review and when we could anticipate that, so we can advise the applicant. Otherwise, I think the focus of your discussion will be on your letter, and Mike and I are here to answer any questions you may have tonight. Otherwise, we'll be requesting a continuance to the next hearing. Thank you.
All right. Bricolai.
Chris summarized it well. So we did have our site visit. We approved those other boundary lines. So I will actually defer it right back to the commission to continue their discussion.
All right. So, trying to get this letter. So the next step is we want to summarize and vote on the letter that we had talked about regarding the waivers. So I would say, Bricolai, probably the best move is to bring that up, read it into the record, and vote on it. Would that be the move?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's fair. Yep.
Who wrote the letter?
Meg did. Yeah. So guys get it? Okay, okay,
Did you, was it sent to us or?
It-
No, it's on the drive.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's on the drive.
It is on the drive. Tyler, if you could navigate to our webpage, it's also on our agenda as an attachment. You could put it up on the big screen as well.
That'd be good.
There should be copies there. I apologize if there are not.
It's okay. All right, so what we've got,
So this computer does not seem to have Microsoft Word, and without that, it will not show the documents.
It's a Google Doc.
Yeah, I'd have to-
I have it on PDF. Mark LePage, if you have it in front of you, why don't you start reading and then I'll upload it and Tyler will be able to pull it up on the big screen.
okay. So, the first section would be, we do recommend the following bylaw waivers. Okay, so this is what we had talked about waiving. 153-2 and 153-14, which is a waiver from submitting
12, not 2.
153-12 and 153-14, right? Yeah, okay. A waiver for submitting a soil erosion and sediment control plan to DPW. We recommended waiving that because the plan will be submitted internally by the conservation agent to the DPW. So we talked about that, we seem good with that, okay? 153-15 and 153-17, waiver of submittal of a stormwater, same thing. Yeah, actually, same thing, that we're gonna have that submitted internally by the conservation agent for the DPW stormwater management plan.
So it's going to be going from the applicant to Brickley to DPW.
Correct,
Okay, so the only thing we're modifying is the progression.
correct. Yes, procedurally, yes. 153-15.A9, this was where they were requesting a waiver from groundwater termination between November and April. They actually did it on, they did it between October 24th and 27th. They missed it by 3 and 6 days, so we were good with that time frame. Okay, so we felt good about waiving that. 300.11.B2, this is where we talked about 42 inches being required over the cover of the top of the pipe. We confirmed with Mike Maglio, really don't need that. That was a little excessive, so we agreed to waive that. Okay? So here are some situations we talked about not being comfortable waiving, but that we said we would be willing to work with the applicant to find successful ways to implement the project. So bylaw section 300.11.B2, this was where we talked about them having to use the winged head wall reinforced concrete at each outfall of a drain line. What we said in response to that is we didn't want to waive that particular bylaw, but that we would be willing to review variance requests, basically situationally for each of the structures themselves. So Chris, the expectation is you come back and detail where you want waivers from using the winged head wall, and we would approve those or approve the variance of that on a case-by-case basis.
So I guess a philosophical question is why would we be waiving that as opposed to DPW or?
Because there are bylaws.
Yeah, these fall.
Our bylaws.
Yeah.
These are our bylaws?
Yeah, this falls within
We're talking about
conservation
our,
bylaws.
specifically, the whole thing
Yeah.
has to do with our bylaws specifically.
So that is a confirmation bylaw of that section that I.
Right.
Okay. Conservation Commission Regulation, Section 4.21, 4.31, 4.41. This is where the applicant was requesting a waiver for the defined 0 to 25, 25 to 50, and 50 to 100-foot buffer zones. Our response to that is we recommend not waiving these buffer zones. We didn't feel that would be the best interest of the town, but we'd be willing to work with the applicant on specific variances detailed within those proposed work areas. So rather than a blanket waiver, come back with what you want to do, we'll approve it on a case-by-case basis. Conservation Commission, Regulation Section 7.18.1.5, requesting a waiver from showing existing vegetation on the site plans. We've historically required all applicants to show this, so we felt that we should not waive that particular regulation, but that as we typically have, even up until recently, permit quantification of woody vegetation for plants larger than 3 inches rather than 1, and using a transect sampling method, right? So you have to count all the trees, you can do a plot. So that seemed reasonable. 153-16.b, this was where the applicant was seeking a waiver from compliance to the town's land stormwater management regulations. And our concern here was particularly that aside from best practices, it also included the MS4 stormwater permit, and waiver of that permit would put the town at undue risk by not being in compliance with the town's permitting, and we could potentially downstream be held liable for fines. So we felt uncomfortable that we want to waive that. Section 153-32E, this was the stormwater utility fee. We felt that it was fair and only fair and equitable to have the applicant continue to pay that, as all Franklin residents and businesses do. So that was the summary. So we had some waivers at the beginning, and then basically we called out some waivers or variances we weren't willing to grant is a blanket, but that we work with the applicant on specific situations. So that's a summary of the letter. You know, we'd want to do, so this is a letter that will be issued to the Zoning Board of Appeals, the ZBA. So what we'd like to do here is vote to accept the letter, and at that point we'll submit it to the ZBA, and they'll have our recommendations and act on it as they see fit. But that seemed to summarize what we talked about at our last meeting, if you guys are comfortable with that.
Sounds good to me.
Yes.
I'm just wondering about those first couple where we're changing the process, the submission process. So we're putting more work on you, Bricolide. Is that okay? I mean, would it make more sense just to follow the standard process? Are we really saving them that much?
You save them filing fees.
Oh, all right.
That's it. But you're right, yes. Essentially, instead of them sending it directly to DPW, they send it to me, and I still send it to DPW, and I still get the same review that they would get if they just sent it to DPW. So it is circling the drain, but again, it's the filing fees. So
okay,
there's merit in that.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Good question, worth asking.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, could we get a motion to approve our letter to the ZBA regarding the waiver requests?
I'll make a motion to accept and approve submission of the existing letter to the ZBA.
Second.
All right, Jet, approve?
Approve.
Approve?
Approve.
And I approve as well. All right, so we approve the letter, and we'll submit that to the ZBA. Bricolide, anything else regarding 121 Grove Street?
Only that you will need to sign the letter. But at this time, no, I would recommend a continuance to February 22nd. I will follow up with Gus Brown, Building Commissioner, on the next ZBA meeting. Up to you, Chris and Mike, how you would like to continue. I'm not entirely sure when the next ZBA meeting is. Maybe waiting until we receive those the waivers since we're only one meeting out, or we can continue review under the WPA. I don't know if it would confuse the process or not.
So if I can just jump in there real quick, just to give an update on when this next CBA hearing is, it is actually a week from tonight on the 15th.
Perfect.
So it sort of lines up
Perfect.
perfect there.
Yeah, it's good.
Good. So February 22nd then.
And just quickly, I know Chris asked this at the beginning, if Beta could just give any type of update, if they've had a chance to start reviewing yet, just so we can see what we are in line.
Yeah, so, I'll preface this with, the same lamenting I think every consultant is doing in the industry right now, which is things are absolutely crazy. That said, now that we've done our site visit, we have started to look through the application materials themselves. We are hoping to get something out end of next week, early the following week. We will keep Bricolai apprised so she can then keep the applicant and you folks all updated on when to expect this. I guess with that and hearing, the conversation tonight and some of the discussion on a couple waivers, the buffer zone, performance standards and demarcations in particular, if the commission, would just like us to continue with our current assumption that the waivers requested by the applicant are going to be provided. I would say for the most part, a lot of the waivers don't necessarily pertain to the Conservation Commission review process, but in particular, holding the applicant to the 25-foot no disturb zone, 50-foot no structure, et cetera, would substantially change the findings of our review and probably substantially impact the project. So we just want to have some guidance on that end to make sure we are providing a review to the commission that's consistent with what they're looking for and reasonable for everyone.
Yes, I mean,
if I may-
go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, if I can add to that, the applicant would like Beta to proceed, as we, I think, noted at the first hearing, on the review specifically under the Wetland Protection Act. What comes from the ZBA hearing comes from it. If we have to pivot and adjust, then we will. But at this point, I think we've been here long enough. I think the applicant would appreciate Beta moving forward on the Wetland Protection Act review, because that is independent of the waivers. We understand there could be changes if they're not granted. We've acknowledged that, and we'll work with the commission as we need to. So, thank you.
Okay, if that's good with the commission, that's fine on our end.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Any other questions? Okay. Anything from the public? Out on Zoom? All right. With that, we will take a motion to continue the NOI on 121 Grove Street.
Give you a motion to continue the NOI 121 Grove Street to 22 February, 7:06.
Second.
All right. Jeff?
Continue.
Mike?
Continue.
Roger?
Continue.
Vote to continue. All right. Thank you, guys.
Great. Thank you. We appreciate your time, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
It's all right. I figured it out.
All right. And you know what? I actually, for the third time tonight, I'm gonna have to repeat myself. I didn't realize this was right after
Okay.
120 Grove Street, so,
All right.
sorry, guys. You're on your own tonight. I'll see you later.
No problem.
I don't live here anymore.
All right. We are going to open the NOI for 100 and 110 East Central Street. Do we have anybody? All right. Come on up. You wouldn't mind signing in? And thank you. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Thank you guys for staying here. I know it's late. So
Well,
I'm gonna try to
appreciate
keep
you
this.
waiting too.
It's okay. kids are in bed, so I got out of the house. I'm okay.
Ah.
And you are?
I'm Brad Chaffee from the applicant and owner, Camper
Okay,
Property
great.
Group, or 100 East Central Street LLC. Also with me tonight is Rick Adro from United Consultants, our engineer, civil engineer. So I think tonight we don't have any letters from Beta yet. So I think really just kind of we did this on the planning board on Monday because we didn't have some letters back, but just to give a kind of an introduction to the project. You know, see if you guys have any initial questions, stuff like that. Before Rick kind of goes into it, you guys, if I may, I do have some pictures of the building that I brought. Might just be helpful if I may approach.
Yeah, if you bring them up, they have to stay in their part of the public record.
That's okay.
so-
Yeah.
Okay. But we'd love to see you.
You guys don't get the free.
I'm bummed I don't get to see these ones.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. All right, great.
Yeah, Rick, would you like to kind of start with just an overview of the site, and I can talk a little bit about the building when we get further on?
Sure. Good evening, Rick Goodrow with United Consultants. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, Rick, we hear you well.
All right, excellent. Just to refresh the commission's memory, the end of the summer, beginning of the fall of last year, Brad and I were in for his project at 122, 138 East Central Street, redevelopment of that property, parking lot removal within the 25-foot buffer zone, and some stormwater improvements. And at that time, we had mentioned that we were going to be back in for a project on the other side of the isolated wetlands, so here we are. This project was filed as a notice of intent under the local bylaw based on the isolated vegetated wetland that we will be working within the buffer zone of. This project is located at 100 and 110 East Central Street. The project consists of the demolition of the existing house at 110 East Central Street and the construction of a 20-unit residential, mixed-use residential building, which will also consist of commercial space on the street level, and then, as I said, the 20 residential units. This project will have a shared set of utilities, and access and parking will also be shared from the two projects under this proposal. Project will be adding a stormwater system to the front portion of the site, which would consist of an underground infiltration system, and there's a stormwater collection system to the rear of the site that would collect and treat the stormwater and discharge the stormwater through a pipe system with a head wall outlet at a riprap area directed towards the isolated vegetated wetland. We have provided a stormwater report. That report provides a summary of the either reduction or matching of the existing and proposed rates and volumes of runoff. As Brad had mentioned, we had met with the planning board on Monday evening, and as of today, we had not received any review comments from the planning board or the Conservation Commission. Both reviews will be done by Beta for this project. So we just wanted to come tonight and give the board, the commission, an overview of what the project consisted of. And as I said, we're awaiting letters for the peer review. And once received, we'll move forward with revisions if necessary and be back to the commission. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. Bricolai?
Yes, so the only, thank you, Rick and Brad. The only thing of note in front of the commission right now, Brad and Rick, I wanted to put the filing fees in front of the commission, just so that they can decide. I hope that's amenable to you. So if the commission recalls, under our bylaw, buffer zone is considered a jurisdictional protected resource area. And we have a filing fee worksheet, and on that filing fee worksheet, we have wetland resource areas demarcated or lined out as a line item for NOI filing fees. And within the past year, it's been identified that those filing fees have been paid and have not been paid for past projects. So under Pat's regime, he adhered to that, since local bylaw states that buffer zone is considered a resource area, projects moving forward should account for buffer zone impacts in that line item on our filing fee worksheet. So for example, I'm going to bring up Maplegate, the first Maplegate. Can't remember if that's north or south, but the first Maplegate, they did not pay for those buffer zone impacts. Their second filing, it triggered, they're paying for buffer zone impacts. So that's a large property, if you can imagine. So knowing that for this first project on the other side of this isolated wetland that came in front of us, it did not trigger that filing fee for buffer zone impacts. So when I received this new filing, you know, I checked for that filing fee, and I emailed Rick and Brad, and I just wanted to use you guys, I guess, as a little bit of a guinea pig situation here, but to bring it in front of the commission about enacting that filing fee. And then honestly, I feel very strongly that we should, since it's consistent with other projects, but to understand hardships on applicants as well, to pose in front of the commission between paying for disturbed buffer zone or non-disturbed buffer zone. So maybe those are too many options for you all to discuss tonight. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but that's where we are with this project specifically.
So we typically haven't differentiated between disturbed and undisturbed? I guess not.
No.
Right? Yeah.
No. And if you were to look back at Maplegate and it being a golf course, I mean, that's highly disturbed.
Highly disturbed, yeah. Okay.
And it is consistent with it. And I did not, for the record, did not speak to Chair Hagan about this property and this situation as it relates to this property, but I did pose the question to her. And she agreed that it should be buffer zone impacts. That's how it's listed out in the bylaw. So, or buffer zone as a resource area.
Okay.
It used to be that way. That's historically how it's done.
How was it done?
How, that we, yeah, buffer zone was a resource area. That's usually gets done. So historically, for years.
I'm sorry, what was that, Jeff?
So, I mean, we have done that for years, so to not have that done is a miss. It's a miss on our part.
Yes.
I'm
Thank
just
you,
saying
Jeff.
that if you go back to history for a decade, last decade, that is how it's done.
So moving forward, we've been doing it. We've been doing it now.
We've been
Inconsistent.
So apparently we've been inconsistent. That's been a miss.
Sometimes.
That's on us.
It's with the changeover of agents and then reviewing past filings and having that standard be set again.
So with the new agent that we have we become consistent?
Oh, well, I mean, not with the previous. If you were to ask Rick or Brad, I mean, the previous filing was missed as well. But yes, now it has been consistent, and that's what it is. I personally now also review all of the filing fees. So
So the
that
previous
work had been spread out, and now it's just me.
How about these guys' previous project? What was?
We missed the first one, I believe is what she
Yeah,
said.
we missed the first one on this. Okay.
So how would this legally impact us for future projects if we not?
You basically argued that people were claiming that you were discriminating against them, certain projects and not, because you weren't treating them equally. But you can also, but what we can say is that it's an error, it wasn't deliberate. It was an error because you basically weren't following your own rules.
So for the
Oh,
purposes of the hearing, it's clarification, right? So
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
so now you get, I mean.
That's all it is, yeah.
Does that explain
I
it?
hate it.
It was a mistake, right, yeah.
Just clarification, so I know going forward too as well, you know, just
Right,
when
yeah.
we plan things.
It
and
was a
do it.
mistake.
Yeah.
Good point, glad you brought that up.
So, Rika, I mean, what kind of dollars are we talking roughly?
So that's actually something that Rick or Brad will need to determine based on their square footage of impacts and give to me. So I don't have that. I was waiting to address it at the meeting.
Because I mean, I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, I've seen some of the projects that that Brad's recently done, and they are definitely a plus for the town, and I think going forward, he doesn't seem to build them and sell them, so whatever we can do to work with them and, you know, to make it better for the town, I'd be in favor of.
So I think the
What-
challenge is we gotta be consistent, right?
Yeah.
It's gotta be the same for
Yes.
everybody.
Yeah, that's the issue.
Yeah.
You're
Yes.
opening yourself
What-
up to liability by being not consistent.
Okay.
So I agree with your points, Roger.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not
100%.
really
But,
the point.
yeah. So I don't,
So
go ahead, Bricolai.
sorry, it's hard on Zoom. I was going to say it's really hard on Zoom, and I already get so excited, so it's not for me. But while I agree that Brad does a lot of good projects for the town and definitely likes to play by the rules, which makes my life so much easier, I will put it in perspective that Maplegate, their second bill for their new filing was $17,000. That's a lot. Brad's site will not be that much. It is much smaller. But how I phrased it to Maplegate and Bowler was you got your first one free. So
Right.
Makes sense.
now we are setting it, and while I agree Brad is really great, I would just caution the commission on giving graces to people,
Yeah.
because it has to be fair and equitable amongst all.
And in fairness, I don't think that's what was on the table, right?
No.
We're just, good point, but I think we're just clarifying, I think
Yeah.
we've done that, so. But good question, right? Okay. Any other questions on that topic? Nope. Bricolai, any comment? We started with the fee piece, but any other?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, it's good, good to get that out.
No, not at this time. I'm excited to continue this review, and I think this will be a pretty light lift.
Okay, and this is pre-disturbed buffer zone, right?
Yes, yeah, it's
Yeah,
woods
so,
right now.
all right, just curious, thanks. Okay.
This is on the hill.
This is on the hill.
Right above 140.
That's correct, yep, as it comes down.
Looks like you're drilling rock there recently, or?
That's for the Project 94, yes, that's what we're working on. So this is 2 doors down. There's a brick apartment building next to the left.
Yeah,
I'll call
yeah.
it for the rest. It's the White House next to that.
Okay.
We're keeping the brick apartment building. We're gonna be refacing it and tying it into that and putting a new building to the left of that, where this kind of, that house is kind of fallen, it's in rough shape. That's the house, the building that we.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is, so the buffer zone, everything is, you know, the building, a little bit in it, but it's also, the parking in the rear. We can go over that.
Excellent. All right, any other?
I'm good.
Thank you for the kind words too. Sorry to start the meeting off with a, money discussion.
Oh, no, we'll definitely get to the,
I'm here.
No, we're not gonna close it without comments from the public, just finish it up with the commission. So I guess we're set, and to you, in the public, in the audience, what can we do for you?
For me,
Yeah,
can I send pictures through Zoom?
sure.
Can I do that?
Yeah, I got one right here.
Can you help me?
Oh, pictures,
I mean, I have pictures.
Oh, that I don't know.
Might I interrupt? Are these photos that you emailed me before?
Yes, thank you, Brittany. You have them.
Of course, I can pull them up on my computer.
All right, and if you want to make some comments, which we'd love to have, if you wouldn't mind signing in,
Oh, of
and then
course.
just tell us your name and where you live, be great.
These aren't on the drive, right, Rika?
No. So these projects are related to a different, these pictures are related to a different project. But we'll get into that, and Brad, I'm glad you're there in person. So
I have a feeling I know what one of them is.
I am.
yeah, we spoke about it.
Hi.
Okay.
Could you please? I'm from Venezuela. I speak Spanish.
Okay.
And you feel, yes, I can do it, but then you begin to all the technically words, and I'm lost. I first want to say thank you to Brickley, because I am on the cross street. I'm behind the big houses, the brick project that's going to be built. And I remember coming here in 2019 when this project was going to be built, just before COVID. And I placed my concern about the wetland, because when I moved, someone who helped me, I don't know what did we do, I don't know, was the heat or something, say, no, I used to come here and we skate here. All this was water and it was frozen and we used to skate. And he said, what? Okay, last month, my grandkids were on the lagoon, frozen, skating. But not with skate, but you know. So the weather has been changing, I know. Through the years, I have different pictures. She could see, there you go. You could see the lagoon. Thank you. And as this is public, I don't want to show my kids here because I know it's being recorded, but yes, they were there. And my concern is, as I said, protect my property. So far, the water has not get to the basement yet. But it's not only my home, you see there. I cannot show you. You know, it's very close. And my neighbor, he also was concerned. We are those houses that are divided in the middle, the 39 and 37. She cannot make it. She has to work very early in the morning, but she's concerned. The next neighbor has a little wet area too. And you see that's on the other side, very close to the one before, very close to that red house. They say they got water into his basement and they are almost behind all this. I'm just bringing this because I'm worried about what could happen to my house and what could happen to my neighbors on the value of my property. If ever I want to leave, I want to sell that. I have to be careful not to sell it so people, I will have to let them know, because when I bought the house, you guys told me you have a wetland. You won't be able to build anything there. But right now I feel like I have a little lagoon, very beautiful. Everybody wants to live by the lake, but not with the lake in your home, right? So I'm sorry. I'm just trying to express my concern. So I know, and I don't know the terms, I was talking to my son, stormwater system, or whatever you can do about that. I really appreciate it because it's scary.
Yeah,
I went to Home Depot to try to buy barrels to protect the entrance from the water. We are sold out. We even sold the sample. You know, you begin to look stuff, and this has been different, but not that much, because in 3 years I have my kids skating there. So thank you so much. I really bringing my concern to see what we can to protect the neighborhood. And I really want to say thank you to the town, to Rika Lee, because I came here because of a huge amount of snow that was in one of the corner. And first, nobody told me what to do. You can put the snow whenever you want. And then I talked to Rika Lee, and she said, no, we have to protect the wetland, and we can help you guys. So thank you so much.
Can I ask you a quick question? So where do you live, just so we can understand the viewpoint of those pictures? Are you, which street are you on?
39, I'm 39 Cross Street.
Okay,
If
you're
I can-
across.
I think,
backside.
I cannot point, can I point the map?
hold on. This might help a little bit.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes, please, I'm ready. I'm here, this is the, can you? Here, and that, this is a two-house building, right? A condominium, and here, I cannot paint.
Oh, that's okay.
The wetland is, all the lagoon is over here. A ver, can I, do you have a pointer or something that I can show?
It's so let me see if I can. So if you look at kind of the locus map here, right? The building on the left, that's 138, where we have all the glass and we're going through a little commercial build now.
Yeah, yeah.
The two to the right of that, you kind of see like a mirror image of the houses.
Mm-hmm.
Those are those two duplexes. One's white that we kind of remodeled, and the other one's another color. So this is in the backyard. We share, you know, that wetlands in the
I
back.
got you.
Yeah. So those pictures are, you know, basically the backyard facing, you know, 140. It's hard to tell. I mean, well, it's not if I go to the grading, but these properties are, you know, up the hill, I guess.
Exactly, so
Yes.
the water go down, right?
Correct. I can, I guess, a big part of all this stuff that we have to do, and I can let Rick do it a little, I mean, we have to deal with, you know, post-construction and then, pre-construction and post-construction drainage. So, and I'm not an expert on any of this, but Rick can talk a little bit. So whenever we have to do a project, it'll be better. We don't make it worse, I guess, in layman's terms, as far as the stormwater goes. We have recharge systems, we have the, sheet flows, how they go. So this would improve that area with less stuff going down, more stuff going into a recharge. So there's mitigation to these projects. It doesn't make it worse.
Well, that's why I'm here,
Yeah.
worried to see that
It's a li-
we won't make it worse and make sure that you as a committee can make sure that what they are doing, because I have no clue,
Yeah.
right? What really makes things different.
Before you go, if just give me your contact, because you can, maybe just come to my office and Rick, and we can walk it and show you. It's
Yes,
easier to
because
see.
It's so easy, you see the map and you see the
It's hard to
wetland,
see,
and
yeah.
that's why I wanted to come here, okay, it's not a wetland. It's how deep does it have to be unique, because there was a lot of water. And so it's not the same. I don't know if you see different when you see a space that when you see the water there. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, but seriously, so
Yes.
just if you wanna write
Yes.
down, just put your name and I'll call you tomorrow too. That way it'll be a little easier, I can walk through with you, if you don't mind.
Thank you, Sansola.
I was gonna say, you've
Thank you
waited,
so much
Yeah,
you've waited all
your
night
help.
too.
I know, I understand, and good comments, and Brad, thanks for
Yeah.
working with me.
It's, yeah, I know it goes on that fast.
My phone number?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Any other questions, guys? Nope. Okay. Rikolai, any final thoughts?
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for receiving Sansola, and thank you for coming.
Okay.
Here I am. I called my neighbor, but she said she has to wake up very early in the morning and she's pregnant.
Okay.
So.
Well, good feedback. All right, so, with that, we are looking to, get a motion to continue this. Can we do that?
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI.
Yep.
The NOI for 100 and 110 East Central Street to February 22nd, where we time-wise?
7:07.
7:07.
All right,
Second.
all right. Jeff? Yep.
Continue.
Michael?
Continue?
Ryan?
Continue.
I vote to continue as well.
Thanks
All right.
again.
Brad,
Really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Brad.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Rick,
Thank
thanks a
you.
lot.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Chairman at large.
Tyler, would you mind getting the shepherd's crook out?
She finished her latte yet?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Probably over to alumni's by now.
Should be back from Macy's.
Figured you're over at alumni's.
Yeah, right, the alumni club.
I think it's not even alumni's
I
anymore.
wish it
know.
was the
Yeah,
alumni club.
as long as, are they
Box
gone?
seats.
Box seats.
Box seats.
They're very nice in there.
It is very nice.
Yeah.
I have the same, that's not.
Well, thank you for covering things for my many recusals this evening.
No problem.
We can go ahead and jump into our general business, our friendly 40B LIP process. I'm just going to pull it up. So I have a drafted letter.
Of course, this is the one I brought in writing.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. We figured it out.
I did print it out. It's just in my folder, and I didn't think to give it to you beforehand. So
No worries.
I'm just actually going to pull it up here rather than trying to get the printed copy of it right now. So I've drafted our letter for the town council for this. And I'm just going to give it a read through to you guys. I don't think it's going to
What's that?
I'm just going to read through it for everybody, if that works for you, and then we can discuss if we have any comments or questions before we go ahead and vote on it. So,
This is for the old Stoddard.
correct, correct. So, dear Chair Mercer and members of the council, this letter is being delivered on behalf of the Franklin Conservation Commission, the commission, with respect to the proposed development of 444 East Central Street, Franklin, Mass., so-called the property, as a so-called friendly 40B project, annotated as the project. This letter sets forth the Commission's recommendations with respect to the Council's review of the project pursuant to the town's recently adopted guidelines for reviewing the friendly 40B projects. The Commission recommends the project as it is currently presented, and further recommends that the Council adopts the Commission's recommendation set forth below as it pertains to the application of Chapter 153 of the Town of Franklin bylaws, the Stormwater Management Bylaw, Chapter 181, the Town of Franklin's bylaws, the Wetland Protection Bylaw, and the Conservation Commission regulations, which is the wetlands regulations, to the project. The Commission's recommendations are set forth based on 1, presentations made by the applicant, I don't even know how to say their name correctly, Alevizos Group, the applicant, and Goddard Consulting at the Commission's January 25th, 2024 meeting. Number 2, the testimony provided by Brika Light Goodlander, it's updating my conservation agent, natural resource protection manager, the conservation agent at said January 25th, 2024 meeting, and the Commission's review of the Friendly 40B project preliminary review application dated December 22nd, 2023, and accompanying materials submitted by the applicant, so-called preliminary application. As you know, the project will be subject to the Commission's review as it pertains to the application of the Wetlands Protection Act, MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, and corresponding regulations at 310 CMR 10.00, the Act to the project. I then list the waiver requests that we all talked about last time as they were submitted in the actual preliminary application, which included 153 and then 181, 2, and 8, and then the regulations of 4.21, 4.31, 4.41, and then 7.13, 7.14.2, and 7.15. So the recommendations that we discussed, this is obviously our most important part here, is the applicant should be, as number 1, the applicant should be required to provide further clarification as to which sections of the stormwater management bylaw they are requesting waiver from, as a blanket waiver from the entire bylaw is not recommended. So from here, I just give a bit of detail under the specific section, similar to I believe what's in the 121, just about the stormwater management bylaws and the MS4 permit, as well as the stormwater utility fee, as I think these are like the 2 most important parts for us as we went through that previously with 121 Grove. Do you want me to redo that section or as it is written?
I mean, I think it's kind of, like you said, we just talked about this exact same thing.
Exact same thing, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that these are two important parts,
Yep.
not in the best interest of the town to waive these two specific parts, but the point being that they need to clarify specifically what they want a waiver from. Number 2 is that the applicant should be required to submit an ANRAD to the commission to confirm the resource area boundaries and designations on the property during normal environmental conditions, as well as any subsequent notice of intent. Just my comments on this one were that due to multiple resource areas, including riverfront, bank, land underwater, bordering land subject to flooding, BVW, IVW, and stream crossing, proper delineation will assist with confirmation of impact areas and planning of mitigation and replication. Following the ANRAD and NOI process allows the commission to maintain oversight of the project in order to best protect the town's natural resources and interests.
I mean, that's a process pretty critical.
Yeah. And that's part of what was being, requested as the waiver, is the jurisdiction there.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be ensured that we put that in there. And then just in addition to that, I've added number 3 is the project should be subject to peer review by Beta in connection with the submission of an ANRAD and any subsequent notice of intent. With just a note based on the nature of the project and the resource areas located on the property, peer review would typically be required by the commission were the project to proceed through the ordinary permitting process rather than a friendly 40B project. So I feel like with the size of the project, similar to other projects that we've looked at, that we would require the Beta review, as we discussed at the last meeting as well. One of their waiver requests was for bylaw section 191.8C1, which is work in riverfront area. I think the rationale for requesting this waiver would be due to the nature of and the amount of degraded riverfront area. But here are my basic comments, so that, we discussed last time. So the project as presented will be working within the 200-foot riverfront and bank resource areas. Due to the nature of expansive pre-disturbed riverfront and bank resource areas on site, the project plans presented to the commission include extensive restoration of said pre-disturbed riverfront area. The commission will work with the applicant to review variance requests to work within the stated riverfront and bank resource areas, taking into consideration the amount of restoration to be completed. I think it was what we talked about last time, is that it's pre-disturbed. We're not talking pristine area here. We didn't feel that waiving the bylaw was the right thing to do, but that we'd, happily consider variance requests to work through that process with them.
I think we're being pretty consistent with that, right?
Yeah.
Instead of blanket waivers, just work with us.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
Totally.
And this next one is similar. So number 5 is the applicant should minimize disturbance within the 25-foot of any on-site resource areas, i.e. the 25 no-touch zone under the wetlands regulations, to the greatest extent practicable, and should consider opportunities to minimize and avoid impacts to the intermittent stream, BVW, and on-site IVW. With just a note that work within the 25-foot of a resource area is permitted under the Act. The wetlands regulation establish a 25-foot no-touch buffer zone within which no disturbance is permitted without the issuance of a variance pursuant to Section 5 of the wetlands regulation, which I think is also consistent with what we had said and what we spoke about at the last meeting. Number 6 is to the extent the applicant proposes to fill or otherwise permanently disturb IVW, the board should consider requiring additional wetland replication on the property to the extent practicable. To be noted, the applicant has already suggested replication for impacted IVW. And then just a note for the ZBA that IVW are subject to regulations under the wetland bylaw as freshwater wetlands, but are not protected under the Act. Therefore, while the proponent was who proposed to fill IVW would typically be required to provide replication on a 2-to-1 basis pursuant to Section 4.17 of the wetland regulation, the proponent, only subject to the requirements of the Act, would not be required to provide any wetland regulation with respect to fill IVW, just as a clarification for them.
I mean, they're already saying they're gonna replicate, why waive it?
Well, that's, yeah, so, I think I do think it's important for them to know from the ZBA perspective that the applicant has already, suggested to do this, and I think just holding them to that since they already suggested it, I think is great,
And
so.
I think a lot of times, particularly Briegel I has good input on
Yeah.
help with the replication, so I think that's a
Absolutely.
productive conversation.
Definitely. Number 7 was the commission is willing to waive the regulation 7.13 as the alternatives analysis required by the act. Required as, right, sorry, the wording on that is not correct. The commission is willing to waive regulation 7.13, the alternatives analysis.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, no, it is, I'm just not reading it correctly. As the alternatives analysis required under the act is sufficient for the project. So there's only a couple minor points, and Bricolai can probably clarify this better than I can as the act versus our regulations. But with what we spoke about last meeting and what Bricolai has suggested is that the act covers enough of alternatives analysis that she felt comfortable with us having that as a point of agreement with working with the applicant on this one. Does anyone have questions on that point, since that's the one that we're, okay. So the applicant should be required to submit a wetlands functions and value analysis as required under regulations 7.14.2. This specific requirement will allow the commission to assess impacts of on-site wetlands, including IVW, as regulated under local bylaw. Understanding these elements will aid in the preparation of replication planning. If we waive this one and go with just the act, it doesn't cover IVW, which then takes away our ability to regulate the replication of that IVW if we're not actually understanding the functions and values of said IVW. And really, I guess the function and values is really going to help us understand what that IVW is to make sure that we're accurately having in-kind replication.
That makes sense.
And then lastly, the applicant should be required to submit a construction sequence and schedule to the conservation agent in accordance with section 7.15 of the wetlands regulation. And that was it. So I said, feel free to reach out with any questions. So that covers all of their waiver requests, with us still saying we recommend the project going forward with that. Does anyone have any thoughts or comments or changes or other to said letter?
I think it sums it up well.
Yeah.
All right.
Good job.
Thanks.
Nice.
Can I have a motion to approve the letter as read to submit to town council?
I'll give you a motion to approve the letter to the town council as read. Second.
Thank you. Jeff, how do you vote?
Send it on.
Oh, to approve. Send it.
Jeff, how do you vote?
Approve.
Send it.
Approve.
And I approve it as well. Great, I will get that signed and we can send that off to town council tonight. Or tomorrow morning, because it's 9:37 in the evening, so, yeah. Awesome. And I'm sorry, Bricolai, I should have also asked you if you had any further input before
Nope.
we voted
No.
on that. My apologies.
You don't need, it's your letter. I respect your space, so I think it's important you do your own thing.
Thank you.
I'm just here.
Can we actually do a violation enforcement on Union Street without Richard here?
I don't
isn't that
know.
his
Yeah, I
favorite?
know. I was wondering the same thing.
Right.
Look what he's missing.
So I'm assuming no update on 305 Union Street?
No.
Great. Can I have a motion to continue the enforcement order for 305 Union Street?
I'll give you a motion to continue the enforcement of 305 Union Street
Or for 30 days,
for
right?
30 days.
Yeah. Jeff, how do you vote?
Continue.
Vote to extend.
Extend, yeah, extend.
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 And I vote to extend.
I know we said this before. Can we increase it beyond 30 days, or we have to just stick to 30 days?
I think we have to stick to the 30 days. Is that right, Bricolai?
It's not recommended by Mark Sorrell. It keeps it in their line of sight just enough.
Just enough to continue to not do anything about it. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, if they go to sell though, right? And they're
Yeah.
thinking of.
Yep.
But we're waiting on DEP, right? Like, this isn't them dragging their feet, this is DEP.
I don't know.
DEP has the enforcement, right? But it's up to them, up to the applicant, or not even applicant, up to.
So I am no longer certain. Yes, yes, they did submit the non-traditional work plan to DEP. DEP has not approved it, otherwise I would receive notification of it. However, if DEP responded back to the property owner for revisions, I am not aware of that. I'm also not aware of the timeline of those revisions. My point bringing that up is we have the site is for sale, and we have had requests of information and developers come in inquiring about the property. And for the commission's knowledge, every time we receive a request for information, that is every time I am able to send all of the enforcement orders to a lawyer or to a developer for them to essentially acquire the burden of the enforcement order and whatever else, may be on the property. So to the commission, that is really good incentive to wrap up the enforcement order, or if a developer or somebody does purchase the property, this is something they're going to want to take care of immediately.
Yeah.
So I don't know, to answer your question, whether DEP has not moved on it or has moved on it and the property owner has not responded because they're looking to sell the property. But it is in DEP's hands, and it is under advisement of our town attorney to not supersede DEP.
Is it the whole complex that's for sale, or just the particular unit that these people are operating? And there's a pretty big mill.
So the entire complex is on one parcel. So the person listed as the responsible party on the enforcement order is the landowner for that entire parcel.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Well, there's that. With that, can I, minutes for the last meeting, January 25th, 2024. Any comments or questions or revisions on minutes? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from January 25th?
Motion to approve the minutes from January 25th, 2024.
Second that? Approve?
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 Approve.
And approved from me. Minutes from January 25th, 2024 are approved. Last but not least, our discussion. Guys, I thought we were going to be here till at least 11, and we're almost at 10. This is great. Discussion items. Delcart pond treatment. Did I just jinx this Bricolage? Is this going to take a long time?
Maybe. I'm sure Jeff Livingstone has comments.
Ah.
Yeah, I'm sure Jeff has comments. Hopefully not. We can be done by 10:30.
Excellent.
So let me just, where am I looking? Okay. Okay. Can you see my screen? Don't look at my desktop icons. Usually I have more than one screen. So I'm just gonna show you maps because I think that'll be the easiest. So this is pre-treatment, July 3rd, 2023. So the blue is not present open water, green is sparse, specific to water chestnut, sorry for the new commissioners. Back in 2015 to 2016, the commission hired a third party, Solitude Lake Management, to begin treatment at Delcart for invasive species for water chestnut and milfoil. Milfoil has been successfully eradicated. So now we only treat for water chestnut. So blue, open water, green is sparse, yellow, patchy, and orange is dead. So you can see in July 3rd, there's mostly sparse vegetation coverage with predominance of not present. So go to treatment of August 29th, 2023. You can see this northeasternly pond is clear. but you do see some more patchy and dense polygons here in the southern portion of the ponds, or in the south pond here. So just quickly rolling up, I just wanted to note that we did have a decrease of 21.3 acres total, or from 21.3 acres to 7.7 acres this season. However, they did note that the areas of patchy and dense water chestnut growth persisted in the southern pond. I was very curious as to how this might have happened. This is very fun for me to try and research, and I haven't quite figured it out yet. I know there's a culvert, so where my brain initially went is that maybe there's significant runoff and a nutrient load coming right into this area, which would cause the water chestnut to explode. We have had a lot of rain, we've had a lot of flooding. Just in case you haven't heard lately, we did have that this past year. And yeah, I know there's a culvert here. I was looking at how green these lawns are, but then again, they're not too much more green than up here or over here. And I know there's a culvert coming under the tracks here. So to be determined, but this is your year-end report and something you have paid for.
Hey, Bricolai?
Yep.
So I know there's a key, I just can't read it. So is the brown
Oh.
stuff the most dense?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that would really,
1.3
yeah.
acres of
Yeah.
snow.
And if I can ask, the pond that's on your screen right now, to the left side of the screen, if you will, that's closest to the center of town or headed towards Norfolk?
Closer to center of town.
Okay.
You live up here somewhere. Up here.
Yep. Thank you.
So so the playground is right here.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
I think I see turtle habitat down there.
Probably. Probably see a few beavers right in here too. Yeah, so this is your year-end report. Other than that, everything was stable, dissolved oxygen, their fish surveys, things were all well and good. With that, though, and I don't want to lead to too much of a discussion because I only just received this and I have to go back and figure out how we handle this with open meeting law, but I did receive a new contract for fiscal year 2025. So I will just show you the contract because it is public information, but for something for all of you to ruminate on for the next time.
Can I
so
just
this
ask
is
a
what-
question
Yep.
about the last
Oh, I didn't.
contract? So I'm just wondering, are we paying for specific treatments or are we paying for results?
You are paying for specific treatments with a year-end report. So it is, I think I'm sharing my screen now. So this is what you pay for. I haven't dug too deep into this draft contract. I did hear from the project manager that there are some new treatment ideas or treatment out there that would be cheaper. Whether or not that treatment is reflected in this cost or if this is the treatment that we've had before, I'm not sure. It's almost been a decade since the commission has been treating I always err on the side of caution. I have no problem seeing what the current rate is or what other, genius ideas are out there. But again, something for you to ruminate on. I would not concern yourself with this price for the next 60 days because if, for example, the commission were to want to seek other services, if any price is over the $10,000 limit, it has to go out to bid. And I can tell you right now, that's probably going to be over 60 days. So.
Yeah. Can Can we pull up the last contract as well, just as a comparison? Not, I mean, we don't need it tonight, but is that something
Ooh.
that can be put in the drive?
Oh,
so we
yeah,
can
yeah.
take a look at it?
Yep. Yep. So I just need to, and Jeff, I actually would default to you. I just need to know if, because we're talking about contracts, if that's an executive session.
Yes.
So that's where I would just rather, yes,
Yeah.
Chair Hagan, I can definitely do that, but I just wanted to show you this contract right now, and then we can move forward with it.
Okay.
Or talk about it later is what I mean.
Yeah, if we can just get that other one up on the drive and we can
Yep. That sounds good.
have an executive session at the, I'm assuming we have to, Put that on the agenda.
Vote to go into session.
yeah. Yeah. So we can do that for next.
I
meeting,
just
correct?
need,
That's on the agenda.
sorry, I'm just making a note for myself so I don't forget.
Thank you. And I'm assuming we need that on the agenda, that we'll be having an executive session at the next.
It has to be posted, yes.
Okay.
But whether or not that executive session is to discuss this contract itself or just or seeking elsewhere or not, or if that executive session happens after you've done those two steps. That's what I need clarification on, so.
Yeah, because do we need to be in an executive session to request the ability to have other quotes?
Right.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure. It's my first time, so I'm going to learn.
These. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're all going to learn except Jeff. So. Both Jeffs. Okay, well, with that, may I roll into the next
Yes,
item?
please.
Okay. So this, well, I guess I'll preface and say that the Conservation Department will be having its own operational budget for fiscal year 25, which is very exciting. Yeah.
It's huge.
Yes, thank you. So with that, I have a purchase approval until I get to that operational budget. Yeah.
There's a light at the end of the tunnel, though.
Yeah.
Give your kid an allowance and
You know.
already shopping for the car.
Yeah. So this is for a forest stewardship plan on the Riverbend property. Forest stewardship plans for municipalities is a reimbursement cost share program through DCR. But because it's reimbursement, that means we have to pay the money first, and then we provide receipts and we can get that money back. To that point, our forester that we contract with, not Mike Downey, but he is a not old, but he is a veteran DCR forester. His name is Tom Ashton. He, for economic purposes, his rate went up. So the cost share program from DCR does not cover his full rate that he would need to be able to do the work required for the forest stewardship plan at the Riverbend property. So the total quote that I got from Tom Ashton is $1,600. The reimbursement approval that I got from DCR is $1,205.60. So the difference is $394.40. So I would essentially be seeking a purchase approval for $1,600, knowing that the commission will be getting a reimbursement of that $1,200, and the difference would be the $394. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I think this is, although not specifically a wetlands, it's still a conservation land. I think this is exactly what our funds are for, is these types of projects. So I personally am in support of that.
Yep.
Do you need a formal vote on that, Bricolai? Are you happy with a?
Let's just do it if you don't mind.
Yeah. Can I have a motion to approve the expenditure for the Riverbend FSP?
Motion as stated.
Seconded.
Approve.
Approve.
Approve. Approve.
Approve.
And I approve.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for your effort on this,
Thanks,
Bricolai.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just gonna jump into then, sorry, is there anything else, Bricolai, that you wanted to?
Nope, just that.
Awesome. Any update, Michael, for the Friends of Franklin Conservation?
No, it's been quiet.
Wonderful.
Unless you have anything, Roger?
Nope.
Yeah.
Excellent. Master plan update, we had our first public outreach session at the library this past Saturday. It was not quite as busy as we had expected. There was a more looking at natural, cultural, and historic resources feedback from our first one. We scheduled it at the end of a cultural event that was going on at the library, but the event ended a little earlier, so we missed a lot of the foot traffic there. But we did get some great input from a few, residents that stopped by, so it was still obviously, worth our time there. And I think we'll go back to the library for that same concept going forward, just hopefully timing things a little bit differently. We're having another one, if anyone wants to join us, on Saturday, the 24th of February on the SNEP. The Franklin Bellingham Rail Trail Committee has their monthly walk at 10 a.m. on the fourth Saturday of every month. So we thought it'd be a great time to meet with residents to chat a little bit about our open space and recreation.
At the library or on the trail?
On the trail. We're meeting at the trailhead at 10 a.m.
At the trail at Grove Street?
Yep, the trailhead at Grove Street. 234 Grove Street, I think, is the address of the trailhead.
What was that?
10 a.m. So if you can make it, we'd love to see you there, and if not, that's fine too. But should be hopefully a nice little, we're gonna knock on wood, the weather's gonna be great. If not, we'll do it the following month. But and then we have, as a whole for the master plan, our first public hearing on the 14th. So I have a subcommittee meeting on Monday to put together a few questions that will go on some slides for the public hearing, which will be in chambers here. Beta and Barrett are the consultants, and they're going to be presenting overall what the master plan is and what we're doing. And then as a subcommittee chair, I'll go a quick overview of what our subcommittee looks like and some questions that we have for the public. And that will be it for this time. We're planning a second public outreach that will be a lot more engaging and interactive. We think it's going to be in a room on the campus of Dean, where we're all going to have large poster boards and presenting and really looking for public feedback and the questions, and almost in like a game interactive sort of activity for good engagement and food and all the incentives to come. So I will keep you posted with the date when we have that.
That's good.
So that public hearing, you said 14 Feb?
Yes, 14th Feb, 6:30 in Chambers. It'll be on streaming as well, so if you don't want to come in person. That's it for a master plan. Pretty glad you have an update for natural resources
I
protection
wish.
manager.
I
All right.
wish. That'd be yeah, although I think municipal government is good for me. Federal, I think, I don't know. I wouldn't get outside.
I know, right?
Anyways, yeah, I'd be stuck at a desk. So just a few things. B program is still open for registrants. We are capped at our in-person registration, but it is open to anybody to attend remotely. To that point, the honorarium is now open as well. So that is for residents that have established habitats or partially established habitats, whether that be a pollinator garden, rain garden, forest, sky's the limit. They can receive an honorarium for being a stop on our bus tour at the end of the B program. And then one fun thing to note, kind of piggybacking off of the Friends of Franklin update, we had our first accessibility working group meeting last Thursday. So this is a working group between Ryan Jetty, two folks from DPW on the grounds crew, myself, two folks from the Commission on Persons with Disabilities, and Pat Gallagher, and we met for an hour and had a really stimulating discussion identifying areas around town, whether that be rec or open space areas that could stand some love for true accessibility. We'll start working through the checklist that was required under the open space plan for accessibility, and then really just brainstorming things that we could do that are could do now, and then like grants that we could go for, or big capital projects. So super fun. It is an informal working group, so it does not need an agenda, which makes me very happy. But it is open to anybody to attend. So that is the first meeting of every the first Thursday of every month is when we will be meeting at 9 to 10 a.m. in room 205. So encourage anybody to attend that can. It is available remotely as well. And that, I guess I do have one other thing. Rex will be coming back to us in April.
Oh, good.
Excellent.
And that's all for me.
Awesome. Well, I will just comment that moving forward with this accessibility group and knowing that this is something from open space that's already being actioned is making my heart happy.
Yeah, it is.
I am
Yeah,
really
it's good.
proud that
That was a
it's,
big topic.
yeah, it was a big topic, and it's going to be a big topic going forward, and I think it's excellent to see that we're really making it a priority. So thank you for making sure this is action for Eagle Eye. I'm very happy.
Well, thank you. Me too. It was good. It's wholesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's very important. So, my just last comment is I would love to, I just got to figure out my schedule, but we're going to fit it in somewhere. I would love to do another woods walk with kids and a story, two stories that Ben and I were chatting about the other day with Bear Snores On and probably the Mitten, where we can pull in winter themes with hibernation and animals and talking about fun things out in nature.
Yeah,
So
that's a good one.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So we will figure something out for hopefully early March. Just gotta find my oh, and look, Eagle Eye has a new book. I don't know that one.
What is it?
Find Your Forest.
Oh, wow.
You're on mute.
Yeah, find your place. Yeah, thank you.
Now put it up. You're on the big screen now. Put it up now.
Oh.
There you go.
Ah.
Cool.
Oh, that looks fun.
Yeah.
Yep. Have to have a look at it, figure out when we can get it in. So I will look to see when we can get that in and find some fun activities to go along with it. So continue our public outreach mission. So that's it for me. Anyone else have anything? All right. Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. Thanks for
Bye.
Tyler, do we have anything to sign?
Record.